I'm getting high with my 4-5. Cops only suffer time to die, even as a youngster. Causing ruckus on the back of the bus. I was a fool all through high school, kicking up dust. But now I'm labeled as a troublemaker. Who can you blame? Smoking weed up, we take away the pain. So I'm hopeless, rolling down the freeway, swerving. Don't worry, I'm about to crash upon the curb. Cause my business bloody, baby, if they try to understand me. What should I do? I had to feed my fucking family. What else could I do but be a thug? I'm slanging with the homies, fuck hanging with them phonies in the club. Got my mind on danger, never been a stranger to homicide. My city's full of gangbangers and drive-bys. Why do we die at an early age? He was so young, but still a victim of the 12 gauge. My memories of a corpse, mind full of sick thoughts, and I ain't going back to court. So fuck what you thought. I'm drinking Hennessy, running from my enemies. When I live a beat in 23, there's so much pain.
Welcome in, everyone. How are we doing tonight? Everyone go get your I Vote Felon 2024 hat. You go to www.dacustoms.com. Also can call 781-389-8179. Wonderful things. Got leather, does leather belts, wallets for men and women, business card leather holders. They are so nice. They are so nice. And right now, if you order and use code FREESHIPPING40, your order will be free shipping. So how is everyone? Hey, Devil Dog, good to see you in here. Good to see you. Hey, Grandma. Hey, Mighty, good to see you. Crazy week. Glad it's the end of the week. It's Friday. Thank God it's Friday. We are on episode 72 tonight. 72. Thank you guys for coming along in this journey. We have our guests with us. Let's welcome Gravel up. Gravel, you there?
Yeah, hey, sorry.
Here he is.
Sorry about that.
You're fine. You're absolutely fine. How are you doing? How was your week?
Oh, great. It's been a weird weather week. Keeps raining at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. My property got hit by lightning like 100 meters from my house, which was also weird. That was last night in the middle of the night. It hit so close, it actually woke me up.
Seriously?
But if that's the worst that happens, you know what? I'm walking and I'm breathing. My kids are good. So I have no complaints.
Right. Well, I agree with that. Wow. Try to find this one video that I was doing. Trying to get everything together. Yeah, it's just been it's been crazy, completely nuts. Everything has. Well, before I came on, this nice little video come across, and well, first, Kamala. We hear Kamala now is been nominated by the delegates as the Democrat runner of president. See, I got choked up. I really couldn't say that. It was very difficult to say that she's running for a president. Who do you think her running mate to be? Some are saying, what's that guy's name?
Shapiro. Actually, there's a leak out, just so you're aware. There's a leak out that it's probably going to be him.
That's what I
Well,
thought.
it's true, but they're typical Democrats. They leak everything.
Oh, it's ridiculous. Every single bit of it.
My grandma.
Every single bit of it is nuts. It's called nuts. Okay, guys, but let's watch this. This is where well, you're gonna get the picture real quick.
I mean, I think if you're paying taxes and you're putting money into the economy for a country that you've lived at for over a decade, yes, I think you should have a voice in the people that are making rules on your life.
You kick us out, you better get a seat right next to us and buckle up. Because it's all of us or none of us.
Do you think illegal immigrants should be able to vote in this next election?
I do. I do. They live in this country. They have a purpose being here. And every vote should count. Everybody should be able to have a place to speak, whether your documentation status. That shouldn't be affected because you're living in this country. So that's going to affect you whether you have documentation or not.
It's not legal for an illegal person to vote.
We know that the Constitution says only citizens can vote, and so everyone should have the opportunity to have a path to citizenship.
Why do you think they deserve those citizen rights?
Because they're human. We're all humans, and it's a basic human right. So, yeah.
So we had these protests here today, and it was all about immigration and citizens' rights. What do you think? A lot of people want to let them vote in the next election. Do you think they should be able to vote?
It should be open to interpretation. I think some people should be able to vote. I don't think you necessarily need to be a legal citizen.
I feel like everyone should have a right to vote. I mean, it's going to make an impact on who we want to be as president, as mayor, as councilor, so.
Even if they came in illegally, they should be able to vote?
Yeah.
I think everybody needs a chance.
I mean, I feel like they're not really supposed to be in this. I mean, it's not like they're not supposed to be in this country. Like, I'm not trying to say that. It's just like they're just not official.
Do you think all these folks that came across in the last few years should be able to vote in the next election?
I think that's too soon. I think that's too soon. That's totally too soon.
America's supposed to be great, so we have like all the resources and all the stuff. So as people who are supposed to come here, I feel like they need us for help. So yes, they should have a right to vote. We're supposed to be the people that make everything perfect.
Who do you think immigrants would vote for in the next presidential election?
They don't have a clue. What the hell?
Yikes.
Honestly, isn't that crazy? And I was really taken back that so many people, the young generation, they don't understand and that's the point. They haven't been teaching them history. They're removing monuments. They're removing history in itself. So how can they know something if it's not talked about and taught? And it's our job to make sure that stays relevant, that stays alive.
It's, because a lot of those were young people, actually, most of them.
Yeah, that's scary.
It's indoctrination at its finest. I mean, that's what's happened here. I don't know if we're beyond the point of no return, but
well,
I think they're such sponges still, to be honest with you. There probably is hope, but it's, even on some of the lives, I see these people saying, they're like, well, Kamala this, Kamala that. So I'll vote for anybody but Trump. And that's what you just saw there. I mean, it's terrible.
And that's what I'm saying. That's what it's going to mess our country up. Our policies. Hey, MAGA. Hey, Island Girl. Welcome in. Hey, T Fields. Good to see you.
Hey, MAGA.
Our Constitution states differently. And, I don't like the fact that they've allowed them to vote in our state elections. That, I think, is a no-no. But they've amended our Constitution for that. And now, think about it. They've let 20 plus something million illegals, which I believe it's doubled that. Hey, Heather, welcome in, everyone. Everyone on YouTube and everyone on X. Good to see you. But they've welcomed them, all these immigrants illegally. Care what they say, they're here illegally. And they're like, well, they pay taxes, this or that. We are giving them millions and thousands of dollars when they come in this country. As a matter of fact, here is a receipt that someone, Guatemalan nationalist, left. And after she spent her money, her card, it's an EBT card they use to buy groceries, she still had over $13,000 in food stamps left and over $4,000 in cash. Yeah. And here we are struggling to put food on the table, tires on your freaking car, keep your phones on, keep your lights on, keep a roof over your head. Our tax dollars are right there on that receipt.
Yep.
Our tax dollars are on that receipt. Now you tell me, in what freaking world is that freaking fair? It was disgusting. I'm finding this video, and one lady, she's quite pissed off about it, and we're going to listen to what she has to say. But what are your thoughts, Gravel?
Yeah, I mean, okay, we already got enough problems here, whether it's homeless veterans or just homeless in general. You know,
Right.
we've got all these domestic problems, and now we've influxed the equivalent of, I don't know, 6 to 7 states population. Where are they all going to go? How are they supposed to be provided for? Or not provided for like it's our job to provide for them, but the government is asking like it is our job. And that's reflective of the video you had shown.
Right.
And what bothers me, if you will, about the younger generation is that you realize when you become our age, you're going to be the ones dealing with this.
Right.
Does that
And
make
that's
sense?
what I'm saying. That's why we say what we're saying, what we come out with the truth for. I know, Heather, it was horrible. That's why they can go to hell, period. And how she stated, what it was her exact words. If you want to get rid of one of us, what was her exact words that she said? You have to get rid of all of us? Is that what she said?
I'm sorry, was that a question for me?
Oh, yeah. Was that what she said in the video? If you get rid of one of us, something, you're going to have to get rid of all of us or something like that?
Yeah, something to that effect.
Here, we'll play it again. We'll play that particular
Okay.
part again. Let's see if we can get it to play.
I mean, I think if you're paying taxes and you're putting money into the economy for a country that you've lived at for over a decade, yes, I think you should have a voice in the people that are making rules on your life.
You kick us out, you better get a seat right next to us and buckle up. Because it's all of us or none of us.
Do you think illegal immigrants should be able to vote in this next election?
I do. They live in this country. They have a purpose being here, and every vote should count. Everybody should be able to have a place to speak, whether your documentation status. That shouldn't be affected because you're living in this country, so that's going to affect you whether you have documentation or not.
It's not legal for an illegal person to vote.
We know that the Constitution says only citizens can vote, and so everyone should have the opportunity to have a path to citizenship.
Why do you think they deserve those citizen rights?
Because they're human. We're all humans, and it's a basic human right. So, yeah.
So we had these protests here today, and it was all about immigration and citizens' rights. What do you think? A lot of people want to let them vote in the next election. Do you think they should be able to vote?
It should be open to interpretation. I think some people should be able to vote. I don't think you necessarily need to be a legal citizen.
I feel like everyone should have a right to vote. I mean, it's going to make an impact on who we want to be as president, as mayor, as councilor, so.
Even if they came in illegally, they should be able to vote?
Yeah.
I think everybody needs a chance.
I mean, I feel like they're not really supposed to be in this. I mean, it's not like they're not supposed to be in this country. I'm not trying to say that. It's just like they're just not official.
Do you think all these folks that came across in the last few years should be able to vote in the next election?
I think that's too soon. It's totally too soon.
America's supposed to be great, so we have like all the resources and all the stuff. So if people are supposed to come here, I feel like they need us for help. So yes, they should have a right to vote. We're supposed to be the people that make everything perfect.
So
So please tell me, what constitution are they giving out? Is this the one that they took stuff out of and put on Google? Is that the constitution these people are going by? I mean, do they think they just live in a world where we don't have a set of rules that we've had for hundreds of freaking years? Man.
You know, like I said, it's indoctrination. And honestly, I don't know what's worse. I don't know what the worst term is. Indoctrination, it's like they've been brainwashed. I mean,
Absolutely.
they know nothing about the Constitution. They know nothing about the law. They know nothing about like what it actually means to be able to vote and the
Right.
privilege that's bestowed upon us as American citizens once you turn 18. You know, that privilege that is God given, if you will, and that the military defended and has defended throughout
Right.
the course of this country. And I just don't think they're, kids, but I don't want to say I have compassion for them, but because that's not the right word. But
Right.
in a way, you know, it. What were they taught exactly as they were coming up? Because country, I think you
That's
could
my
agree.
point.
Yeah,
Oh, I'd say they're probably what, 18, 19 years old, the
yeah.
ones that we saw in there, possibly 20. And that's why when we have Seth on here, great guy, great young man. Um, Republican, he's in charge of the Republican youth, in his, I don't know, division, I guess, or whatever it is. But you've got people that are of age to be able to vote. That's why they've been pushing more towards the younger, like dangling a carrot in front of their face. Student loans and this and that, which is unconstitutional as well. I have $18,000 and back student loans. Um, I'm sure you do. I'm sure a lot of people do. We don't get a free pass. We don't get a free pass at all. Hang on a minute, see what he says.
Yeah. And in my case, I didn't really have to go down the student loan path, but I also wasn't given a free handout either. I worked my way through college, so I didn't acquire a lot of student loan debt. But when I could have been like buying fast cars and being cool when I was like 21 or whatever, most of my money went to paying my rent, buying my food, and put myself through school. I never really had to go down the student loan debt path. But I'll tell you, it was hard. It was hard work because it was a full-time job and full-time school.
I commend you on that, Gravel. I do myself when I was working full-time job and I was doing school from home in criminal justice is what I was doing. And I'm 6 credits away. 6 credits away from having my associates in criminal justice, but they don't let you come back until you pay those. And I think that's messed up. I think that's messed up. I think it's so freaking messed up. But it's really a joke. College is really a joke. When I went, it was like they had preset. It was right when COVID happened, right before it, and they had preset the curriculum. And I didn't understand it then, but I understand it more so now. They were in there. They was more trying to push towards Biden. It was also pushing the narrative climate change, fracking. I mean, it was so strange that they had all the shit that already in the curriculum of the things that we were fixing to, talk about, go through executive orders that Biden was throwing up there the very first day. Just ridiculous. It's all a joke. I mean, I could have probably studied more and just gotten an old set of encyclopedias or law books and sat down and broke them down and read them because I know how to research. And I could have probably taught myself more for free than going to a school and doing thesis writing and cramming and then turning around and you've got Biden letting illegals in that my tax dollars, your tax dollars are paying for, as we saw with the receipt. How dare they? And this is what they want to continue to vote for. They want to allow her to be in office. Heather says, so what happens if all of us Americans, all of us go south and come across the border and see how it goes? Well, you know what? Maybe that's what it have to take, but we'd have to be very well weapon prepared because the cartel runs that shit down there. Sure does. That's awesome, country, and you'll get there. And yes, that's famous. Oh, I thank you, MAGA. I went to military and then came back, went to school at night, trade school, and worked construction in my business days. Busted my ass, but no student loans, just house and mortgage. Great job. Great job. I commend anyone that does that. You are too white. You know what, Alan? Maybe you're right. I mean, this one lady has something to say about white women.
Up in West Virginia in the hills, they covered. They got him all the way there to Wall Street. He did that. And we sitting there talking about the white women, forget the white women. They're going to do what they white men tell them to do. That's what they tell themselves.
Well, I'm going to inform you, honey. No man tells me what to do. Can you really think a man would tell me what to do? Do I look like the kind of person I would show them respect because I'd be getting it back? But nobody will tell you what to do. Now, they can ask you certain things, and you guys, in a healthy way, set healthy boundaries, and you respect each other. But I don't know. I guess there are some I've seen a lot of black women do what black men tell them to do. That is just another situation where they just want division and race baiting. That's all that is.
That's all it is.
More.
It's all it is. You know, it's just, it's sad. I mean, it's sad that we've gotten to this point, because if anybody's taken us backwards, it's the Democrat Party and all this race crap and misogyny and any word they want to throw at us. You know, it's terrible. And then on to Devil Dog's comment. Yeah, you're right. Lawyers, judges. Here's what actually concerns me a little bit more. Illegals becoming cops.
Okay, see, that's where we was going with this. They already had offered up in Chicago and some other state for illegals to become police officers. Remember that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. There's initiatives out there in some states.
So they want to defund the police, but they want to fund it with illegals. And they also let them know, hey, you join our military. Join our military. You'll go far. You'll be considered freaking legal immigrant. So people, and you know, what have we been having coming through our border the last almost 4 years? Age adult fighting men. I haven't seen many women or children through it. It is race baiting. Hey, welcome in. Yes, please hit the like, share, and follow button. I appreciate it.
I mean, could you be, hypothetically or theoretically speaking, could you imagine being pulled over and arrested by an illegal immigrant driving a cop car?
I could not, because, wow. And you know how the young ones and how even the older women, they were like, in that video, where you're gonna, if they're just a citizen, they should be able to. I believe they should. These people ain't got a damn clue. They ain't got a freaking clue. Either they've got a bank full of money, or they're okay living the way they're living, and they don't want anything better. They don't want to do better. They just want to continue to live like that. Because they know the government's going to give them a handout. I'm all for helping people. Give them a hand up, but not a handout. Period. They work. They put the work in. Helping people is one thing.
Yeah, and there was a period of time. Don't quote me on the time frame, but I want to say it was around 06 to 09, and my recollection of it mainly dealt with the Army.
Yeah.
But a lot of guys, they were already U.S. citizens. They had clean records, you know, so they were able to join. And the real whole purpose of them to join, it's kind of parallel to what we're talking about right now. Their whole purpose to join was to learn, because they were gangsters. And their whole purpose in joining, to suck it up, serve their country. But there was it actually kind of got blasted out there. This was more than 10 years ago. But
Right.
If my recollection serves me correct, what they discovered was a lot of gangsters were joining to get military tactics, take them back to the gang, and then employ that on the streets once they got out. Kind of like a mole, you know?
Yeah, and it's getting to wait on that video to load. It's disgusting. It is so disgusting because we have laws here. And a lot of these people are coming from countries to where it's okay to be a pedophile. It's okay to grab a 6-year-old and marry her, have sex with her, and kill her. It's okay because that would kill a 6-year-old. That would kill a child. Um, hatchets, you name it. They fight with hatchet because they haven't got guns. And if they do have guns, they have them illegally that they probably got from the freaking guns and the weaponry and shit that was left over in Afghanistan when we lost 13 American heroes. And then other Americans left over there. And people want to vote for this crazy administration. Do you not realize that you had Biden and you had Kamala as vice president? Everybody knew that Biden's brain was gone. Everybody knew that. They were complicit in covering up. So who really was running our country? Who the fuck is running our country? Think about it. Somebody's running our freaking country. We don't know who it is. And now we've got the same person that was within that line as vice president now want to run as president. That's fucking scary. I mean, that's
Well, yeah, and you know, I'm not trying to. I mean, everything that's going on in the Middle East right now, this is very serious, and somebody needs.
Oh, hang on. Breaking news. The Pentagon revokes the plea deal of the 9/11 masterminds, I can't say it, Muhammad, and the 2 fellow co-conspirators. Sorry about that. Had to bring that
Oh,
in.
that's fine. I just saw that. I was not aware of that. So, I was not aware that it was revoked. I was aware that yesterday the news broke.
It went through.
That's breaking news to me too. Yesterday, the plea deal. It was basically a plea deal where they weren't going to have to go to trial, and they just, I guess, the plea deal was like they're going to plead guilty, but that will avoid a trial, and they were going to do life in prison. That was the deal.
Yeah.
So that is breaking news if the Pentagon revoked it, because they're technically under a military tribunal. They're not under civilian court.
Exactly.
So I could see that being true, because the military actually, or the Pentagon, the DOD, could say, no, that's not what we were.
Well, why haven't they been hung or something already? And you know, for what they've done, you know what I'm saying? Are they're saving them for some other kind of swap? Because you know, recently we had the prisoner swaps, right? And we were talking about this on the live a little bit ago.
Correct.
And I was trying to get some information on that. I don't know.
I've got it. I can give you the names.
I think I took a picture of it. But
yeah, so 3 people. All right, this is a big swap. It was actually a total of, I don't know if it was 24 total, like 12 for 12, but it was different countries and all this stuff. I can talk about the U.S. citizens, and this caused a little confusion, not with you, but in general to the public last night. Evan Gershkovich, who was the Wall Street Journal reporter, he got pinned up last year. He was the Wall Street Journal reporter that was over there in Russia. I don't know why. I guess he was trying to do some reporting. probably more to the story, like everything.
Right.
Former U.S. Marine Paul Whelan. He's been over there since 2018. And then this other, so there was this story of a green card person that got released. And I think that got mixed up. This Alsu Kermashevia, she is a dual U.S. Russian citizen. Those are the only 3 Americans that were released yesterday. I don't know about any of the other countries or anything like that.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna do some research then because see, when I work during the week, I catch bits and pieces. With the weekend, I go hard.
Yeah, three total U.S. citizens, because a dual citizen could be considered a U.S. citizen. So 3 total U.S. citizens were released. Now they were exchanged for some, I think I can say it here, some dude who assassinated some Chechen rebel, and then some other dude who tried to, and that guy was in Germany.
Okay, see, what we need to focus on is what they let go.
Right.
That is important. So what did they, you said they allowed an assassinator, and what was the other guy, German?
The other guy, he was some dude. He was some sort of a financial criminal mastermind who stole like $93 million from some other country's government.
What was his name?
It's like these are very hard names to pronounce. Those are the only 2 names that have been mentioned.
Yeah, but the German, what's his name?
Let me find out. While you're talking, I'll look it up.
Okay, because something rings to that. Rings to it. I actually had pulled a video. Let me see if I can. It might not have went through. Hang on. It was about one of the prisoners.
Okay.
When Tucker Carlson.
This is on CNN. It's on CNN, so I'm being fair here. 16 people were released from Russian custody on Thursday, including 5 Germans and 7 Russian citizens who were political prisoners in their own country. Moscow, in return, got former high-ranking, so this goes to your question, FSB, which was formerly known as the KGB, Colonel Vadim Krasikov, as well as several individuals accused of spying or cybercrime. So that this guy Vadim.
You know, there was a case.
Assassin.
There was a case a few years ago. If you guys go look this up, with these the ones you were talking about. I don't know, the internet, computer, cyber crimes. That is a connection to Clinton. That connects to Crossfire Hurricane, if I'm not mistaken. Because that's what brought it up. I believe. Papa, am I correct on that, or am I thinking about a totally different? Do I do?
Yeah, no, there's still more U.S. citizens over there, and that's what was being brought up on your live and the frustration that was being, because there's still more U.S. citizens over there. My frustration is why Brittany Griner was released, year and change ago. She was released for that arms dealer, and she was over there. She smuggled basically cannabis in, or like oil or something like cannabis oil or something like that. I don't know much about it, but and they caught her in the airport. They snatched her, and then they exchanged her for some big massive arms dealer that we had, like a gun runner, basically.
Yeah.
That we had here in U.S. custody. So it wasn't like tit for tat. And I think that's where that's at least where my frustration lies. While these other folks had been sitting there a while. So a little more on this dual U.S. citizen who was one of the 3 released. A 47-year-old journalist for the U.S.-backed radio Free Europe Radio Liberty was detained in October 2023 and found guilty of spreading false information about the Russian army. Charges her family and employer deny. So that's the dual citizen, the dual U.S. Russian citizen. So 3 total.
Okay, I was trying to say it jumps. That
I didn't mean
jumps.
to
Okay, so
ramble on. Sorry, I didn't mean to ramble on. I was just trying to get
no,
everybody.
no, 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 no. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So we know that Tucker recently went to Russia not too long ago,
Correct.
and he had a sit down with Putin and had a discussion with him. And when the prisoner, actually one of the prisoners came up, he said it was the biggest arm dealer in the world for a grinder that hated USA. Okay, she has
Yeah, that
had
was
charges.
exactly, Devil Dog. That was my point.
Okay. Well, here is a short clip of Tucker asking about this.
And he's been in prison for almost a year. This is a huge story in the United States, and I just want to ask you directly, without getting into the details of it or your version of what happened, if as a sign of your decency, you would be willing to release him to us and we'll bring him back to the United States.
Мы столько сделали жестов доброй воли, что, мне кажется, мы исчерпали все лимиты.
We have done so many gestures of goodwill out of decency that I think we have run out of them.
Ни разу не ответил.
We have never seen anyone reciprocate to us in a similar manner.
So I am going to deep dive with
That was the Wall Street journalist.
Right.
That was Gershkovich or whatever his name is.
Okay. Yeah. So, okay. I'm going to deep dive on the two they traded out. That is where you need to focus. Not necessarily the ones that came home. It's what they released. They released a assassinator, and what just recently happened to Trump, an attempted assassination. And then we have the cyber geek thing as well. And we have an election coming up very soon.
Yeah, like a financial crimes dude.
Now, this is a theory, you guys. This is how my mind works. Not saying it is, what it is. Mark Vogel. That name sounds so familiar to me. So freaking familiar to me. And I can't. I'll have to go back and deep dive and look. But there is some major stuff going on with that, for sure. Definitely, for sure. But we were talking about
okay. I knew he's the history teacher who's still over there. And they were talking about that on your live earlier. That's who Mark Vogel is. That's who I believe it was Garage Door who was talking about that.
Okay. That's how I know.
Yep.
Now, see, they wouldn't want the history teacher to come over here. Isn't he the one? What was his crimes and why he got arrested?
Let's see. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
Accused of state treason for donating about $52 to a Ukrainian charity in the United States. That's what it says.
Okay. Magamax says that he was an American teacher who went to Russia to help teach and had medical marijuana. He's the one who had the little small amount, and he's been there since 2012. Interesting. I mean, our minds could go a little wild with a little bit of all this, but I do believe we need to focus on the two that were released, just like the other arms dealer that was released not too long ago for that basketball player. They're doing this, they're setting something up, guys. I feel it. I mean, these people they do not want to give up this power. And you think about it, you got freaking Kamala sitting up acting like she is Queen freaking bee. Oh, of course, it was a Garage Door. Yeah, I love Garage Door. I sent him an invite to come in, but we can't get his camera working. But I think it would be an added benefit to the show. Absolutely. But we got Kamala, who has now been, let's just say, given the opportunity.
She is. Well, she's still not officially the nominee until the convention.
Right.
but she is nobody opposed. None of the delegates opposed it.
Well, of course not. Of course not. They're not going to oppose it. They're being told what to do. Yeah, they are always setting something up. And this one lady, I showed you guys the receipt. She goes on to talk about the receipt. I didn't get to make the video formatted perfectly, so you guys, and she's on point. She's on point.
One, I got your big reason why you better not freaking vote for Kamala Harris. This X post made me so mad I almost threw the damn phone to the room. I need a goody powder because I have a headache. Why is it this illegal alien, this so-called migrant from Venezuela, left a receipt at the cash register in one of the New York City bodegas? Hold up. I'm going to tell you. Why is it that this heifer, who has never put anything into this country, never worked in this country, never paid Social Security tax, never paid a property tax, never put into the IRS, never paid anything into anything, came here with her damn hands stuck out, came from shithole country, wherever the hell you from?
Agreed.
This individual left the receipt where she had just bought some food at the bodega. Okay? Her food stamp balance, let me make sure I'm getting this right, on her EBT card, her taxpayer funded EBT card, her food stamp balance is $13,401.82 for 1 month. That's this individual's food stamp balance for 1 month. Okay? Because when you use your EBT card, it leaves a record of the balance after you've gone to the store and spent it, whatever. But somehow this bitch who has literally never, and yeah, I said it, I'm going to say it again. This bitch who has never paid anything into this system is somehow worthy to get $13,401.82. Cash balance is $4,498.85. The fuck? I really do need a goody powder. That's just one. That's one of them. That's one of them. New York has hundreds of thousands of these foreign nationals roaming around. Why does she have $13,000 in food stamps? I'm mystified. I mean, veterans are literally sleeping on the freaking streets with maybe $100, $200 a month in food stamps. And they fought in wars to protect this country. They don't get $13,000 a month in food stamps. And they don't get $4,498 a month in cash. I'm looking at it. I can't even believe this is real. This is actually real. Senior citizens have to go back to work after working for 70 years. In their 80s, they have to work to greet at Walmart or Costco because they can't stop working. They don't have enough money with this so-called Inflation Reduction Act and the extremely high inflation thanks to Biden Harris. And you're going to vote for this shit to continue? Oh my God, don't talk to me. If you even, I mean, the identity politics aside, Kamala Harris has an open checkbook. She has an endless credit card on your tax dime. And she does not buy cheap things. She can buy whatever she wants. She can drive whatever she wants. She can live wherever she wants because she has the money, thanks to you and your tax donations. And of course, the big donors, foreign and domestic, probably mostly foreign, but whatever, $13,000. This Venezuelan migrant gets $13,000 a month in food stamps. Another 4,400. That's just a balance. That means it started higher than that. So this individual had even more than that, than what I just mentioned. In what world is this allowed? I am seeing videos in Venezuela where she just came here from, where there are hundreds of thousands of people taking to the streets because of the rigged you-know-what that just took place, where Nicolas Maduro does not want to leave power. So he's just like the Katie Hobbs of Venezuela, is just sitting there like, nope, I ain't leaving. Even though exit polls show that the other candidate won clearly based on what the people want. You can
Absolutely.
make a machine say
Preach
anything you want when you program it. But what do the people want? Do you really want this? Do you really want 4 more years of this? Because it will get worse. They're going to be buying these people homes, like flat out, and just giving it to them. BlackRock, Vanguard, they'll just continue to buy up homes and rent them out. And Harris will just give government subsidies to these migrants so that they can have homes while you figure out where you're going to live, because they have priced you out. But these migrants have government subsidies for the rest of their pathetic existence on your tax dollars. Oh my God. $13,000 a month in food stamps. Another $5,000 or so a month in cash to a Venezuelan migrant who just got here. You want to vote for Harris? Damn.
She's right. She's absolutely right on all points. We are being ran over. America has been invaded. Now, what does our Constitution say about the invasion? It's up to our states.
Yep.
Our states are supposed to protect the American people. That's why they are chosen for times like this. Think about it.
Well, and actually there is an element. It's like in Article 1, Section 1 of the Constitution, where it talks about the executive branch's responsibilities, and one of the top things on there is to protect the border of the United States. And when I say border, I mean the whole border of the United States, north, south, east, west, all of it. You know, that is by federal law, and they're just not doing it.
Absolutely. The states have more power than the federal, absolutely. But the federal owns the states because of the money.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that.
Yeah, because they can't get funding without its federal funding. They can't get the funding and the money for the things they want to do. But I'm going to tell you, that's where this comes in. We're going to have to go back to the days of bartering. I probably can't say that right. Where, you know, hey, can I borrow this? I'll give you this. Living off the land. Why do you think they was doing geoengineering, cloud seeding, and all kinds of crap up in our sky? Why do you think they were putting the chemicals everywhere to hit our ground to where it would affect our water, affect our grounds? Why do you think in Idaho, why do you think in Oregon, they're trying to keep the farmers and take 500,000 acres? 500,000 because they want to drill and dig for minerals. Okay, they don't like fracking, but they're going to go fucking drill and they're going to dig up the ground and they're going to get chemicals there. They're going to pull up cobalt and what's that other thing that goes in batteries? Another lithium.
Well, and I think that you know, whether we're talking about domestic policy, foreign policy, monetary policy,
Right.
and real quick, just to go back to, you could almost kind of wrap this into one big puzzle piece of what they're actually trying to do. When we go back to the exchange, and I don't mean to digress.
No, you're fine. You are
But-
absolutely fine. You keep going.
You know, the Griner exchange, the exchange that just happened yesterday. And then also, we had $6 billion of Iranian funds frozen, or assets, whatever you want to call it, basically cash frozen, sitting in South Korea. So the Biden worked out some sort of a deal where he got 5 people released from Iran. This was a year and a half, 2 years ago, something like that. But he paid them money to do it.
10. It was 10.
And he exchanged Iranian dissidents or exchanged Iranian whatever they were.
Okay, let's go a step further. What did Obama do in his era? He sent pallets of cash.
I know. And
Pallets of
my point is what the Biden-Harris administration has done is they've sent a signal
Right.
to anybody who wants to do America harm. We either, if we see you and you're an American, we're going to take you off the street, we're going to put you in our prison or do whatever.
Right.
And you're either going to pay us money or we're going to get our prisoners back who actually mean no harm, you know? And that's very concerning. I mean, I used to love to travel abroad, but I'll tell you right now, on a personal level, there's no way I would do it right now. No way. I mean, even to a friendly country, I wouldn't do it because they're having border issues as well. You know, I mean, I just wouldn't do it. And so, yeah, you were right. You were right though. So we got that piece, right? And then we got the border piece, and we got what happened with, Israel hasn't come out and said it, but you know, they got that Hamas guy in Tehran, and Iran now is vowing to strike back, which is going to make it broader. And this is what we were discussing last night.
Right.
I think it's pretty much acknowledged that there are probably cells here. And when Iran decides to go, who knows what's going to happen, you know, that goes back to the border. So again, there's a piece of the puzzle. Here's a piece of the puzzle. And then that last piece was to your video, the video you just showed about that lady. I didn't see the whole thing. I only saw a clip of it. I didn't know there was more to it. But that last piece is, why did they leave the border open like this? And why are they paying all these people? What is actually going on here?
And why is it only just age-fighting men coming through?
Yeah.
You know, but this also happened recently. Here we go. 2 illegal Jordanians were tried to breach Quantico Post Thousands in Belt. I remember this. I think I've got an article.
Was involved in the attempted breach at Marine Corps Base Quantico, illegally crossed the border last month in San Diego.
This news further highlighting the issues we've seen at our southern border during the Biden administration.
And Griff Jenkins joins us now with the latest. Griff, we didn't even know about this story for a long time. When we find out, we ask questions. Are they illegal, these people who breached? And we didn't get that answer until now.
Right, they are illegally in the country indeed, Ainsley, and you're right, this occurred initially on May 3rd. Now, Fox has confirmed through multiple DHS sources, as you mentioned, one of the two Jordanians involved in the attempted breach was illegally crossed the border last month in April in that San Diego sector, which is the epicenter of the crisis right now. He was released on a notice to appear because there was no initial derogatory information found him. Now, the other Jordanian national was an F1 student visa overstay. Neither have a criminal history in the U.S., and officials say they're withholding their identities over privacy issues. Both men, I'm told, are still in ICE custody awaiting removal proceedings. Now, according to that Quantico-based statement we initially got, the Jordanians told the officers they were working for an Amazon subcontractor, but Fox has also confirmed with Amazon on background, they say they have no knowledge of these two Jordanians working for them. Now, this comes on the heels of Lindsey Graham's letter yesterday, or 2 days ago, to DHS Secretary Mayorkas demanding information, including their immigration files.
Now, that was done months ago. That particular clip was done months ago. I'm talking months. And the article I showed today, they had posted, I think it was somewhere around 500, it was 6 digits.
Yep.
Of money, and they posted to get out. So they're out on bond. But they won't release who they are.
And that is actually breaking news. The fact that they were released on bond, because they were actually supposed to be deported and they weren't.
Right. But they're
So,
released because they
yeah,
haven't
and
got a
the only-
criminal
the
record
only-
here.
You know, I think honestly, like with that case, they didn't like drive down run down a barrier or anything like that. They basically tried to go through the gate, and then the security forces or military police, depending on your branch of service, they basically pushed them off to the side and basically began, because now they're on federal land, of any base
Right.
that considered federal land, and you technically don't need a warrant. And you don't have to have probable cause. So they pulled them aside and started questioning them. And then that's when their whole story about the Amazon subcontractor thing, the whole thing fell apart. But in my view, I think that what that was, because they didn't find any like bombs or anything like that. It was, in my view, that was probably a test run to see if they would be challenged. You know what I mean?
That would make sense. That's a good way of, that's a great thought. Absolutely. But here we got Kamala lining up. We might as well accept it. She's probably going to be the nominee, even though, she's already got the delegates. She's already got what she needs. That's their best choice at this time. That is their best at the moment.
Yeah, exactly, Devil Dog. Exactly, Devil Dog. But exactly. And the problem is, okay, even if you're an American citizen, if you try to get on any sort of a military installation and you have no business being there, i.e., you don't have a military ID, you're not a spouse, anything like that, they don't. The military doesn't mess around. But in this particular case, it turned out these two guys were here illegally.
But they should have already been deported. And what were they trying to do? I mean, you're right. Probably more than likely a test run to see if they could get in. Probably to see what their times are of how long it takes for the military to show up, what direction they come from. This is how they work. They purposely would get caught, use people for goats in order to find out the schedule and what happens. I mean, we probably got this shit going on right now. We just don't have a clue about it. Hey, Harley. Why was it kept a secret? And why did the military not talk about it since March? Great point, Harley.
Well, when it first happened, it was disclosed, and then we didn't hear anything about it until, I don't know, what was it, Country, a day or two ago, when we found out they made bail.
Well, no, I did a story twice on this. First time there was a naval base. I don't know. I don't think this is the same one, but there was someone that got on a naval base. It might be the same one. I don't think this wasn't a naval base, was it?
Are you talking about Corpus Christi, where the female security forces actually shot and killed a guy? Now that guy, I don't know if that's the same case you're talking about. That guy actually tried to run. He tried to bust into the base.
Okay.
You know,
That's a different one. This is a different one. There was one that happened. It was probably a couple of years ago, from a Navy base that they got on base. They actually got the secrets. I actually did a story on this. They actually wanted the weaponry of subs. Got a list of everything. He worked as a mechanic. Him and another guy, and they actually got this information, and they were trading it to China.
Yep. Yeah, and Devil Dog said, and he said test run earlier. He said test run time, how many people, time, scheduling, all that. I'm not a LEO. I'm not a security forces expert, military installation security expert, but that sounds to me like that was a test run to see how either formidable security was or how laxed it was.
But they've been doing it on our Navy bases, Army bases, Air Force bases. I mean, they've been trying it on all our bases. Someone tried it. I live near Aero. It's an Air Force base, probably about an hour and 10 minutes from it. It actually, someone tried to get on site there. And we never really have that, or they don't discuss it or let people know, but they go into every freaking one of them. I mean, what the hell? We are invaded, you guys. They have their plan and it's going. See, not to mention, hang on a minute, hardly. Not to mention the plans that are already in them. That's what I was fixing to say, that they've already got in place. Think about it. They've already got people in the military. Have they already started letting illegals become in our military? Do you know?
I think the answer to that is no. Now, if you come here on a green card or a visa, or like, let's say your family comes over, there is a way, and it's an approved legal method. If you join the military, but you're here legally, because technically a green card and or visa or whatever, that's a legal way to enter the country. So if you then turn 18 or whatever age you are, as long as you're over 18 or over, you can accelerate your citizenship by joining the military. And that's all valid and legal. And that program has been around for, I think, decades. But I don't know. I don't know.
But it is our reality. It is the reality we live in today. It is ridiculous, but it is the reality we live in. I'm sorry, Grandma. I was just repeating what she said.
Oh, no, you're good. All I was going to say is I don't know that they're letting just illegal immigrants just join the military out of the blue. I'm not certain.
Well, I know that they sent out their thing saying, we would like for you to, they were working on that, and some of the congressmen and senators were lobbying for it. But as we speak right now, USA, I saw this come across, and Israel are planning to respond to an Iran strike. World War III is here. It is, you guys. We've been in World War III since the Biden administration took office, truthfully. This election, I don't believe we're ever going to have it. I believe they're going to put us straight in this. Everything is falling in place. Everything is falling in place. I have a video, as a matter of fact, Harley, that I was going to play tonight.
So in the UK, we know they've been doing the same thing with the open border and letting the chaos ensue. What's interesting is after they've done that, now they have a solution. The solution, mass surveillance. And freedom of speech. They need to quail that so they can get control of the chaos that they sent in. Take a look. Don't think that that's just going to stay in the UK.
I can announce today that following this meeting, we will establish a national capability across police forces to tackle violent disorder. These thugs are mobile, They move from community to community, and we must have a policing response that can do the same. Shared intelligence, wider deployment of facial recognition technology, and preventative action, criminal behaviour orders to restrict their movements before they can even board a train, in just the same way that we do with football hooligans. And let me also say to large social media companies and those who run them, violent disorder clearly whipped up online, that is also a crime. It's happening on your premises, and the law must be upheld everywhere.
Wow.
You know,
Everyone's movements. We were talking about that with their 15-minute cities. I remember UK had it, and if you looked at the diagram that they were making for the US, they had everything positioned, but also on this, they had cameras everywhere, and they were trying to use this idealism of ideology. It's there for your safety, so we can make sure you're safe. No, it's there so you can control and see every move someone makes. You guys, Harley's right. We are entering World War III. We are entering biblical proportion of time that we have never been before. And I'm going to tell you, I never thought I would see it. I never thought I'd even be a part of it. Yeah, all in the name of public safety. That's their thing. It's public safety. Yeah, UK has cameras everywhere. They watch you. Yeah, just like China. Think about it. I mean, yeah, we know it's a communist country, but they literally they've made and forced people to put the RFID in them to where it connects to their phones, all of that. These people are not going to give it up. We've got the WEF, World Economic Forum, sticking their nose in our business, and you got elites, you got the deep state. I pray that God allows Trump in office. I do. Their plan was foiled when they went after Trump, and they didn't expect it because they had multiple shooters, and they did not expect him to live. So what we were talking about this last night. What's their choices? Gravel now?
Well, they don't. They. That's a good question. I got to think about that.
I mean,
for a second.
Yeah.
Because I don't.
Harley, what do you think? What do you think?
I actually don't know what their choices are. I mean, try to do it again to Trump. Try and figure out a way to throw the election. I don't think number one is going to happen again. I think there's just too much attention on it now.
Probably.
Yes,
you got to get up here so we can talk about this, Harley. Come on. I sent you the link. Send me the right email because I think we had a different email. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I saw I thought somebody shared your video. I think it was Grandma that shared your video with you. I think you didn't make the. I mean, you like.
Are you talking about the new 30-minute video that I showed?
Yeah, that one. I watched that.
That one was sent to me by someone I don't even know last night privately, and they said, and the account's gone now. They told me, they said, I'm going to send you a video, and you won't believe what you hear on it. And I have no idea who this person was that sent it, but I will protect my source regardless.
That's fine. I get that. But that was a very interesting video. I'm talking about the one where you don't actually see he'd already been, from what I could tell, he'd already been questioned by the FBI. They took his phone, and then he's trying to describe the whole thing, and it sounds like he's being questioned by a state trooper, like in his car or something like that. Is that?
Yeah, what happened? Okay, the first 5 minutes, there's 5-6 more minutes of the video, and I think I put it before. I sent it, Harley. Check it. You know how it comes through StreamYard or something. If not, I'll copy, paste, and text message it to you. Harley would be one of the greatest to get up here and talk about this military stuff. That was at a point when Harley had done really good investigating and broke it down last night with his. Okay, it just went through. And he had good points. And then I get this video sent to me, and it kind of jump starts on some of the points that he was saying in his podcast he was talking about last night. You guys got to go watch Harley Jackson 50. Great podcast. I believe Tuesday and Thursdays is when he's on. He's on at 8 p.m., but I got to find out he's Central or Eastern. I'm not sure. I know we're on different times. But yeah, he was actually there. And you remember the other night we played other videos identical to that in that same area, but the shooting was taking place.
Correct.
They were taking cover. This is the same guy. And at the end of his video, he had stated that he would be releasing more. This was the other part of the video. Now, I've done some deep diving in it, but Harley has done quite a bit in it. And I guess I'm going to watch my videos while I was trying to put it all together. And they sent that video. And when I sat and I watched it, I was listening to it at work today. And then at one point, he actually gets stopped. I don't know if it was a trooper. I don't know who it was. They still had his cell phone at the time, and he had to actually buy a second cell phone because he said he was terrified.
Yeah.
Well, is in the video how he talks about, okay, if Crooks was shot, he was shot on the roof. How did blood get inside?
That's the one. Why was there blood inside the building?
I know Harley's dying to jump on this one. Get your butt up here. I might have to do it another way if I do.
See, I didn't know that. That was a new detail. The only thing I caught, I don't know if it's newsworthy or not, was, the Secret Service acting director now, he did a press conference where he took questions and answers from the press, basically. Probably the biggest takeaway from, there wasn't a lot more detail revealed that I could tell. The biggest takeaway was that he said the Secret Service was solely responsible for this failure.
Right.
Whether it was, because he was talking about a bunch of things: communication, tactical placement, being on different, just the fact that the planning team didn't recognize that building could be a threat, so on and so forth. But he did say.
But in the video also talks about a guy in a red truck that had come up. And if you go back and watch the original one video, you'll hear the guy in the back saying, "Get the fuck out of here. This is private property." And he's screaming it and saying exactly later on, if we move forward towards the end of the last video I posted, he's screaming it and he's saying that the dude got out and put something in his pants. And he went and warned the guys. I'll find those other videos, but they're out there. Those are the first set of videos that got released. And someone sent me this one. But as he's on that call, as he's on, being questioned, the officer, whoever actually even says, here we go, Harley in here. I'll wait till he comes through. He actually even states there. Hey, Harley, jump on up in here. I don't know if he knows we see you.
Hey, what's up, Harley? I'm not sure if I know you. I'm Gravel.
We see you.
So I got to close out some other stuff. I was trying to get some feedback. Can you guys hear me okay?
It's hard to hear you. It's muffled a little bit.
Yeah, hold on a second. Let me try to close some stuff out.
It might be the earbuds. I don't know.
Let me do this. What about now? Do you guys hear me better now?
It's getting better. It's still
Yeah,
muffled.
I had a couple Rumble stuff open, so I just need to. Let me see. I'm gonna jump out and then jump back in.
Did he say he was coming back?
Yeah, he said he was going to jump out and jump back in. I did catch that part.
You heard that part? Okay. I don't know. It just sounded muffled a little bit. But in part of that video, he ends up talking. I sent it to Harley because I knew he had done his podcast on it last night. I don't know if maybe he got anything different out of it or not. But he talks about the guy in the red truck. And if you listen to the radio, because the cops are standing there in this video, if you listen to the radio when all this is going on, you actually can
So
hear him say
are you saying there's a video? Okay, so I saw that video where the guy's being interviewed by cops, and it sounds like he's in his car, and he's like, "How did you find me? How did you know I was here?" That video, I saw that one. So you're saying there's a video before that where they actually Go ahead.
Okay. Can y'all hear me a little bit better?
Go ahead. Let's see. Can we hear you now?
Can y'all hear me better?
You're still a little muffled, but you're better.
Let me try putting the other. Let me put the other earpiece in.
Oh, that's good. That's perfect now.
Perfect.
Okay. So I'm not sure why I was getting some feedback. It's probably because I got 500 windows open because all the information that's coming through today has just been nonstop. So a couple of things I want to point out is that Roe gets on today and he talks about,
It's muffling again. It's running together like it's like a.
Okay, hold on. Give me 1 second. I'm going to try to do something real quick. Let me see if I can do this.
It works for a minute and then it'll clump together.
Okay, give me 1 second.
It's a work in progress when you get a mess with sound. I had to do it. That's why I don't even mess with my settings anymore on my laptop. I leave it, plug it in, and I'm good to go. But I want to hear everything you guys say. You're silenced now. You're muted. Well, it says you're muted.
Is it better now?
Hot dog, I think we got it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I only had to kick myself out like 3 times. So, okay. So one of the biggest things for me is that, as y'all can tell, I haven't changed clothes in like 3 days. So, this information is coming through so fast. It's so insane, right? So I'm watching the same thing that Gravel that you're talking about with Roe doing his little press conference tonight. I only got about 6 minutes into it. And he had like three huge lies. So one of the things is if you listen to the shots, okay, and I went over this in one of my podcasts, and I'm going to go over it again in the next podcast because it's very, very important. You have shot 1, 2, 3. Okay, when you look at the sound ballistics of it, they have the same range, the same breaking point, the same ending point. Then you have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Right.
Very rapid, very, very in recession. And when you look at the ballistic sounds, it's actually different than the other sound. Now that's been kind of put out there that maybe because the weapon that Crooks was using had a side sight on it. So if you're in a position where you come up with something and you're aimed like this and you can't get the right sight, you can lay it over sideways and it has a set of side mounted sights. So initially that was brought up. Okay, did he turn his weapon? Was it different ricochets? Different things. So I think there's a lot to uncover there. But there was a number 9 shot. It was a double tap. Boom, boom. It was a double tap.
Right.
Okay, that double tap would possibly be consistent with the shot coming out of that second story window because the initial blast and then the ricochet off of the roof, boom, boom, and then it would go forward, right? So the first 3 shots off the building, boom, 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 have the same characteristics. And then the next, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 have a different characteristic, a different sound, a different wave pattern, a different start and end pattern. And then there's a 9, boom, boom. Now, if you listen to what Butler's saying and you listen to what this research that I've been listening to has been saying, that shot came from a ESU police cop, whatever you want to call them. And that was a shot fired about 50 50 to or about 75 feet to the left of Trump stage to the building. And that is the shot that stopped Crooks. And then 8 to 9 seconds later, you hear a poof. That's the Secret Service sniper team behind Trump on the building. That wasn't the one that neutralized Crooks. Number 9 was. So number 10 is we're the Secret Service taking credit. Right? It's a totally different caliber, very distinctive. That the shot patterns are very different. It's very, very distinctive. So there's so many things that don't line up with everything that's going on. And talking about the guy, the long gray-haired, guy that came up, hey, get off my property, blah, 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 blah. And even the part where they were trying to get on the building after everything took place, right? And they're trying to use the crate and they're trying to get up on the building. And then somebody's like, oh, there's a ladder over here. So there's just a mysterious ladder just sitting on the building, and everybody could just go right on up. And then when you listen, what's really important is when you're listening, you watch the body cam of the officer on the building talking to red tie Secret Service guy. You hear them talking about the guy in the van being neutralized, right? And the guy with the body cam goes, did any LEOs get hit? And she says, no confirmed hits on LEO. And then, was the subject neutralized? Yes. Who is the guy in the van? And how are we 19 days into this if we don't know who the guy in the van is? So when I started watching that tonight, you have Jesse Waters had a deal come on, and he's talking about there's some Secret Service agents that are blowing the whistle. They're saying, hey, this is 100% bullshit. We are being told this, we don't have the resources. We don't have this. We made them aware. So I'm hoping, and I know this. I know that there's good people in every 3-letter agency. I don't care what we think about them at the moment, but there's good people in there. And we need those people to stand up, which is kind of scary because at the same time, we've seen what's happened to whistleblowers for the last 2 decades, taken to WikiLeaks as an example, right? I mean, just take into WikiLeaks. I mean, look at this dude. Julian Assange has had to live on the run for 20 years because he was a whistleblower, right?
Right.
The other thing was, hey, Harley, can I ask you a question real quick?
Yeah.
Regarding that body cam footage. So the guy wearing the black suit with the red tie, and it looks like there's 2, I don't know if they were SWAT team or the ESU guys that you were referring to. At least when that footage started, what I saw, that was the one released by the body cam released by Grassley a few days ago.
Yeah.
He asked the weirdest question, I thought, and I'm not LEO. I'm no ballistics expert. He said something like, was this the guy that did this or something like that?
Like, I don't really know what's happening, but hey, isn't it? Okay, so another thing I want to bring up that's very, very important, because the key is to catch everybody double talking and everybody in their lies, right? When the colonel, I can't remember his name, of the state police, Cheadle, Ray, were all and Rowe were all questioned about the bike and the backpack. They're like, we don't know. We don't know if it belongs to him or not. It's clear in that body cam footage that the Secret Service talks. He goes, the bike over there in the backpack belonged to him, and he's like, well, the police officer said, he goes, yeah, they got a shot of that, and so it belongs to him. And he goes, yeah, that's what we thought. I've got the picture. So here's my question. Why are the people in charge on Capitol Hill not asking these questions? Because we're nobodies, that we don't know shit. We're not certified in this. We're not trained in this. We're not done in this. We're not any of this stuff. How can we see this plain as day and nobody's asking these hard questions, right? And so another thing was like interesting when you watch Josh Hawley do his little exchange with him. And this is something I've always said about Congress and Capitol Hill in these meetings. You always see these firework deals. You got Gates, Hawley, MTG, you got all these people that produce these firework shows, right? And of course, you got the Dems who always, everything about the last 15 hours I've listened to on Capitol Hill with the Dems has been nothing but gun control, gun grab, you know, blah, 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 right? The same narrative bullshit. So what I want to ask everybody is, whenever you've seen these explosive fireworks and you see like a Josh Hawley deal that took off yesterday, and he's like, I want to know who's responsible. Well, I don't know who's responsible. I don't know who's responsible. Well, how about we go to, shit, where'd my notes go? How about we go to Tim Burke? Tim Burke, right? Tim Burke is the one that decided who went where and who was assigned to what and all this. And then the guy, and then Rose like, well, let me get the whole information and we'll find out and see if it wasn't just a system failure from everybody. No. Somebody is responsible, right? But that's not what's happening right now. What's happening right now is let's lay blanket blame on everybody, and then everybody gets to walk away unscathed, like every freaking congressional hearing that we have. You know, it's like this. You go back to the opioid epidemic, right? This was some serious shit serious stuff that put a lot of people and ruined a lot of lives, wrecked a lot of households, ruined a lot of marriages, ruined a lot of children, parent relationships, brother, sister, aunt, uncle, you name it. So people's response is, what are you talking about? That company had to pay $6 billion in damages. Okay, so two questions. Number one is, who got the $6 billion? The government. So none of the families that were affected, none of the people that were actually, their lives were demolished from this. The government got it. And then the question is, who was held responsible? The answer is nobody. There was a check written. Right? So a check written to Congress. So if I came to you, country, or you, Gravel, and I said, hey, we're going to come up with this scheme and we're going to get a bunch of people hooked on dope. And during that time, we're going to make $196 billion. Now, what's going to happen at the end is I'm going to drag your ass in front of the American people and I'm going to rip you up a lot. And I'm going to make you look like a piece of poop. And at the end, you're going to write me a $6 billion check to the government, but you're going to get to keep the other $190 billion you made. And then you can give that to us in some lobbying efforts and to some backdoor stuff, and then we'll be all good. Does that sound good? Would you take it? Well, maybe we wouldn't.
Take it. No.
Maybe we wouldn't, but a lot of people would. And this kind of goes into my point of what's happening is if we lose sight of, we need, number one, like Josh Hawley said, we need to know who is responsible. Somebody is responsible. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people, it doesn't matter. Somebody is responsible. And if they don't end up in a prison cell, we're in worse shit than I ever thought we were in. Because I'm going to tell you, what's happening right now is what happens in third world countries that we see on CNN, MSNBC, Fox, all this stuff. What we're seeing now is what plays out in other countries, and it's happening right here. And people say, oh, well, if Trump gets in, all this will be fixed. I was listening to a counter sniper talk about this. And he laid everything out really well, explained all the positions. The water tower would have never, ever been left open. Ever. That roof line that Crooks was on would have never, a 9-iron chip shot to the stage would have never been left open. And it wasn't even an area of concern on the Secret Service detail.
Why not?
Okay. We don't need to say anything else. That one thing right there, I don't give a shit if Crooks or Maxwell or who, you can pull out all these different theories you want. Here's the bottom line. You had a 450-foot direct line of sight that was uncovered. End of sentence. Who's going to pay the price?
And that's the question, brother. I was in the service. I was an air guy. I was a CAS guy, close air support guy. And none of this is making sense to me. And it's like the more they talk, like Roe, like today, or when Ray talked, or when, what was that guy's name? Atabey, or the deputy director of the FBI and Roe were in earlier in the week. Every time they talk, it's like, okay, now I have even more questions.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not.
They're supposed to be giving us answers, right, so that our questions start to quail down, and then we're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. But this is the bottom line. There was a senator, I can't remember who it was, and he said, so-and-so's testified, he was a counter sniper, so-and-so's testified, he was law enforcement, and he goes, I have zero experience. And he was one of the ones that went to the fairgrounds. And he said, the first thing I asked myself was, why in the world did they do it right here? You have 50 rooftops within a 500-yard 360 and a water tower. Now, if anybody in here has done some shooting in their lifetime, whether it's military qual, whether it's MOS qual, it doesn't matter, whatever, or you're just a deer hunter. I know a lot of deer hunters that could drop a 500-yard deer with no problem. Right. And then the other thing is when Roe testified and he says, we had our snipers in here so we could see out here. Are you kidding me? And I've only met a few snipers in my lifetime. And every story I ever heard was coming from out here and going in this way towards the target. You would never be the sitting duck behind Trump and wait to see if there was a threat 500 yards out. That doesn't make any sense.
Well, exactly, Harley. And the reason I brought up my experience was that if you're on a mission and you're supporting a team or whatever, here's what still has not been answered, and this goes to your point. We always knew who was in charge. We always knew who was in charge. And I cannot believe we're at like 19 or 20 days now. They're not telling us. I mean, there has got to be, whether you want to call it an on-scene commander or who was in charge.
Well, to that, so what's happening in real time, what we're seeing is Secret Service is trying to blame Butler. And Butler just came out the day before yesterday and said, we were told by Secret Service to not get on the building. They're saying they were in the first floor. That's a game changer. That is a game changer because they had a direct line of sight into the crowd, which makes no sense. So part of me says to that is I would say to Butler ESU is Why didn't you say, no, I'm not sitting here. This is the worst position I could ever be in. I'm going up here. And if you're going to write me up or whatever, then whatever, go ahead, do it. But I'm not sitting here on ground level. Now that's a statement put out by Butler. They just, I can't share my screen. I'm thinking I'm the one holding this, so I can't share my screen.
Are
But
you still seeing country, by the way?
say it again.
Are you still seeing country, by the way?
No, she said she'll be right back.
Oh, okay, go ahead. Keep going.
So what's trying to happen is the Secret Service is trying to toss the ball to Butler, and then Butler, luckily, Butler is saying, no, you put us in the first story. So if you see the video that I put up in my last podcast, and I'm going to go into it in my next podcast on Tuesday, is there's a guy named Greg. And if you remember, the guy that had the body cam on top of the building talking to the red tie Secret Service guy goes, hey, just go over there to the window and holler for Greg. Like Greg's just hanging out the second story sniper window, just waiting for his name to be called to answer questions. Are you shitting me?
Dude, when so there was something Roe. Okay, again, it's on the same path, but he's like, when he said today, he's like, well, we didn't have any sort of like an intercom. We were just, I mean, and he said it before,
Yeah.
but hearing it again, when they're like, oh, we were texting, I'm like, what?
Well, let me answer this, because this is another thing that's been a running theory, and it's kind of spider webbed and it's gone all over the place. Okay, so it's called siloed communication, and when you run a mission or event, whatever you want to call it, okay, so they had EMS and fire, they had Butler, they had Beaver County, they had I can't think of the other police department that brought the motorcade in. That was another police force. Then you had the state police. Then you had the Secret Service, and there was one more. There were 7 different departments that were on this call. Now, nobody is getting on Secret Service's encrypted radio. That's not going to happen. Okay. So much like the Marines or Army or whatever, when you're going on a mission, you have a mission and you have all these different parts of the detail, right? You're not all going to join on the same frequency, and you're not all going to talk, because there are crucial moments within a matter of seconds that decisions need to be made. And if you go to queue up and you go to talk about it, and somebody's talking about some bullshit, then you miss that window of opportunity. So they do what's called siloed communication. Now, here's where it gets really bullshit. You would have one central command post, right?
Right.
They had 2, Secret Service and the rest.
Oh,
Why in the world would you have another command post? And then here's what's even more interesting. The colonel of the state police, when asked, was the person in charge of the Butler and Beaver County snipers in the Secret Service tent the entire time? His answer was, he was in the tent. For how long and what periods of time, I do not know. So let me ask you a question. If you're in charge of a sniper team of Beaver and Butler County, or Beaver County and Butler ESU, and you're sitting in the tent, and you're the only person that can relay a message to the Secret Service about a potential threat, do you leave at any point?
No, you don't leave your phone.
No, you don't. See, I didn't know that. I didn't know that there were 2 different command posts.
You take it.
Either.
I understand what you're saying about siloed communication, because
Well, hold on. Let me finish this thoughts, because I don't want to lose track. So they have these 2 different stations that are command posts, which it's 0 sense, right? You have one command post, you have one leader from all 7 teams in the command post, and then they are talking, they are making decisions, they are choosing what to act on and not. So now the question is, so what was happening in the second command post? Were they running over next door? Hey, we got this. And then the message was given to them, and then they had to run back to wherever the hell it was. I still don't know where it was, but I know there was 2 command posts. So again, this is what I can say about this entire deal. When you have 50 questions about what the hell's going on, then what was supposed to be going on wasn't happening. That's what I do know. There should be very few, if any, questions of anything, because when you go, okay, so why didn't the Secret Service attend the morning briefing with Butler and Beaver County and all the rest of the local law enforcement? Right. Are you serious? You have an event and you don't even show up for the briefing? And then why was there no scheduled Secret Service sniper teams? And then at the last minute, it's, 2 showed up. Because in the beginning, they told Beaver and Butler County they needed to prepare to provide heavy coverage for the snipers because they weren't going to be able to get any to the event. I have all this on the podcast before last. I have their whole plan sheet, right? So this was all put in writing. So you have to ask
McDonald's, Harley. Grandma wants to know, did they go to McDonald's?
I don't have anything to prove that theory. I think that's another, Uric theory. And I'll get it. I'm not going to get into that because there's a lot to go down that road. Do I think Uric was involved? The answer is no. I simply don't. I think that they got Crooks to do what they needed to do. They took him out, and as they say in the country, right? What's the best witness?
No witness.
No witness, right? So do I think Uric's running around and disappeared and got all the information in his brain and going to spill his guts? No, I don't. And I'll explain that in my next podcast of why I don't think that's the case. I think that's a theory to get everybody going down these rabbit trails because it gets them not asking, why are the senators not asking the questions we're asking right now? Right? So, it's like this guy that comes on the scene and he's telling everybody to get off the property and creating this distraction. Okay. Then the shots ring out. Then, okay, so let me do this real quick. Let me go over the timeline, and I just want to talk about this real quick. So basically,
I'm going to mute my cam, but I'm listening. I'm going to
okay.
But I'm listening.
Okay, so basically at 6:02 to 6:08, this is per row. They lost sight of Crooks. At 6:06, there's a video from the building showing Crooks crawling up on the air conditioner up on the building.
Okay.
That's why there's no Uric, because the Uric theory is that they used the ladder that they bought at Home Depot and pulled it up with a string and all this other bullshit. That's why it doesn't fly. At 6:08, this is the first time law enforcement on record says that they see Crooks. At 6:11 is when one officer hoisted another one up on the roof, picked him up by his foot, and he looks over and he sees Crooks. Now, there's 2 things that have been said there. One is that he just looks over, sees Crooks has a gun, comes back down, he radios, hey, there's somebody on the building with a gun. 30 seconds later, shots ring out. Then there's another theory that he comes up, Crooks comes from a prone position, does a complete turnaround, points the gun at him, and then makes him get down, and then he has to turn back over, reset, regain position, and then fire his shots. Now, here's the only question I have, and this has not been asked by a single person yet. Let's forget about losing sight. Let's forget about him getting on building 5 and working his way all the way up and losing sight of him up there. Let's forget all that. At 6:08, the crowd makes the local PD aware that dude is on the building. At 6:11 and 30 seconds, the shots are fired. So there's two timelines I'm going to push here. Let's say at 6:08, they see him on the roof, and now I want to bring attention. There were 35 to 40 officers around this entire complex while this is happening. I have that list in the Butler ESU deal. Some of them are on traffic details. Some of them are, doing perimeter. But there's 42 police officers around this whole place while this is taking place. So you mean to tell me at 6:08, when the first officer sees him on the building, to 3.5 minutes later when the shots were fired, nobody could figure out how to get on that building and stop that? Now let's just go to the 6:11 where the officer hoisted him up and he goes, oh shit, he's got a gun. He comes back down. He's got a gun. 30 seconds went from he's got a gun to the shots fired. They couldn't get Trump off stage and they couldn't get back on that roof and execute and end that problem. They couldn't radio, hey, somebody go to the front, cause a distraction. I'm going to pop up over the back and drop two in the back of his head. Are you serious? Like, what are we really talking? Now, I'm just going based on what they're saying was the timeline, right? So where from 6:08 to 3.5 minutes later, when the shots were fired, with 40 officers around that building, nobody could figure out how to stop that. Nobody could run up. Let's just take the theory that they were telling us for a while that the Secret Service was in the window. There was two of them in the window. Number one left, and he went to go tell somebody down on the ground that they were trying to find Crooks, and he disappeared, and they couldn't find him, and blah, 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 blah. And then at first they said both left and went to try to find him. And then they recanted that, which was Ray, I believe, recanted that, said, oh, I just got new information. Only one left went to look for him. The other one stayed in the window. But when the other one came back, he couldn't get in the door because it locked behind him. So he knocked on it. And the one in the window, he left to go let the other one back in the building. So you left your post of covering an asset to go let somebody back in the fucking door? Are you serious? So let's just run with that theory. He went back and he let him in the door. Okay, so from 6:08, first officer sees him. 6:11, the one lifts him up. He sees him on the roof. And 30 seconds later, the shots were fired. So in 3.5 minutes, the dude that was in the window, that they're now saying he was in the window, went downstairs to let the guy in, and by the time he got back, everything took place. It took him 3.5 minutes to go down to the first floor, let the guy in the door, and come back up and miss it all. And nobody's asking that question. Nobody's asking that question. So what are we watching? What are we watching when we watch these congressional hearings and we watch these updates and we watch all this stuff? What are we really watching if nobody's asking that one very question? How in the world in 3.5 minutes, if you had somebody in that second window that had complete visibility of that entire roof line, that Crooks got up and fired 8 shots on, how in the world did it take 3.5 minutes to leave the window, go downstairs, let him in, and get back up there, if that's the story you're sticking with? Because that's the one we're sticking with right now.
Well, it was either there's something deep and dark, or this was a complete amateur hour. And I'm no expert in any of this field.
I'm getting really crazy feedback from you. Country, are you getting the same thing? It's really choppy.
Yes.
Is my feedback choppy?
I don't know what happens with
No,
this.
you are good. You're good. You just kind of break up here and there. It's just the internet, I think.
All I was saying was that this is going to go deeper and darker than we think, or it was complete like amateur hour. I mean, based on what we've heard so far,
There's no way it's okay. So the other side of that is, can y'all hear me okay? Thumbs up. Okay. So the other theory is that the Secret Service permanent detail for Trump was beat down. They've been working for 3 weeks around the clock. They hadn't had any time off. So they decided to give them time off. Okay, I understand that. You got a group of people that have been taking 12-hour shifts, and they work for 12 hours, they're off for 12 hours, and they've been running around the clock for 21 days. I get it. They're tired. They need to go home. They need to get some rest. They replaced the entire detail with other Secret Service agents or OIAs, other intelligence agents. I don't have any experience in this, but I'm just going to look at this from a logical standpoint of view.
Okay.
If everybody said they needed off at the same time, would I say, okay, everybody gets off? Or would I say, okay, I understand y'all need off, so I'm going to give at the most the absolute, I would have done a third. But I'll just go half. So I'll let half of you.
I can tell you about this because I do security, and I've done major events, and we would put in 12 plus hours, and we wouldn't need our breaks, but they would send a relief, and they would do like you're talking about. They would get the most effective ones, most watched, like I do NASCAR, the pit, when they come in. Those areas are points of interest. They would take care of that first. That way you would have eyes continuously in those areas because you're muted. You're muted.
Saying that at most you would let half of them off, right? That way, if you brought in,
right.
So let's say there's, I don't know the number. Let's just say there's 20 agents on the permanent. So you say, okay, 10 of you can have off for 4 days. The other 10 of you can have off for 4 days. So what we're going to do is we're going to let 10 of you go home. The 10 we bring in, Secret Service, OIA, whatever they are, and Dan Bongino brought that up with the OIAs way before we even heard this, is you would say, okay, you 10 are paired with these 10. That way you have 10 people that are on his permanent detail that have somebody partnered up with them that can say, this is what we do, this is how we do it, yada, 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 right? You wouldn't replace the whole freaking detail.
No.
That makes well, at least from a logical standpoint, that doesn't make any sense.
But from a criminal standpoint and for what had taken place, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah. So again, when you listen to all this stuff, and as Gravel said earlier, if you're walking away with more questions than answers, now here's the part that makes me really nervous.
Okay.
People should already be in jail for this.
Oh yeah, many.
The fact that we are 18 days, 19, I don't know what we are yet. I've been so buried in this computer, I don't even know where we're at. But if we are 2+ weeks past this and not one single person's been arrested, and then hearing Roe today talking about it may be a blanket failure, like we're gonna have to chalk it up to poor protocol, then what does that mean? Does that mean this is another JFK swept under the rugs for 75 years before we hear the answers?
That's what Heather said that she believed it was.
Because that's what seems like is taking place. And the other side, and to be totally fair, the other thing that's really rocking my boat at this point is Trump is being very tight-lipped about it. Now, I understand to an extent, because if you have people guarding you that are part of an agency and you go to trash talking them, they may not do a very good job guarding you. I understand that.
Right.
But at the same time, is as brazen as he is and as outspoken as he is, I would have expected him to by now to be going, whose head's gonna roll because somebody
Demanding. Right,
Yes.
being demanding because
Right.
he is that kind of person. Why hasn't someone been held accountable now because they just about killed me?
Yes.
That makes sense.
That's something that is bothering me really bad.
What do you think, Gravel?
I have to agree. Trump has said a couple things. He said something about Cheadle on Truth Social, like she should have been fired the next day. But that's about all he's said. He might have said one other thing. I can't remember. But that's about all he said. Now, I know yesterday, let me see, today's Friday, yesterday was Thursday. He was interviewed by the FBI for a victim impact statement, I guess. That's what we were
Okay,
told.
that was yesterday. I work, so I've missed a day.
Yeah, that was yesterday. Yeah, and nothing has been said about that, other than that he was in fact interviewed by the FBI. Not for a crime, but for a victim impact statement. And what maybe the Secret Service was there, we don't know, as part of this interview. But the lead on that was evidently the FBI. But I agree with Harley that he has been very tight-lipped.
But you can't trust the FBI.
All right, so let me jump in there on that one. I'm gonna so the FBI throws in a shit. I accidentally closed the window. So here's what I want to bring up. They have 4 people from the FBI that are going to run a bipartisan investigation. So one person was on Bill Clinton and Obama's, served for Bill Clinton, Obama. The other one served for Obama and Bush. The other one served for Bush. And then the other one's just some random cop that's in charge of a college now. I just want to start off by saying I'm not depressed, and I'm not I'm not going to back myself, right? So I'll leave that
I'm not
there.
either. Nor is Gravel. We're all
So-
the same.
To me, when you say Bush, Clinton, Barack, that's some of the very same realm. So I'm trying to figure out how this is a bipartisan deal.
Oh.
You understand what I'm saying? Like these are that's interesting. They all come from these areas. Now I will say this: the one chick was up for to take Comey's place before he got put in, and she didn't get selected. So I will say that.
January
So-
6th. She was involved in January 6th too, and that she was part of that deleted the records for January 6th. An overload, but it just happened. It's one of those things that just happens. What she said.
I don't know. So it again, it just kind of creates more
Wow.
questions than answers, right?
But you've got my mind in a certain direction now. Outside
Well, yeah,
of being,
and it goes back to the more questions than answers. I mean, Roe even admitted today, and he already kind of said it once before, but they're like, Did you have a drone there or not? He's like, no, we didn't. And then the reporter goes, well, were you offered a drone? And he goes, yes, we were. And then the reporter goes, well, why didn't you accept the request? And he goes, well, looking back on it, and he gets this whole like big word salad. I'm like, what?
Well, again, because the word salad is being used to create this blanket failure as a whole. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to say, okay, well, these people over here, they failed on this. These people failed on this. These people back here failed on this. These people failed on this. So overall, it was a mission failure. So we can't really hold any one person responsible. But like Josh Hawley said, I don't care if you hold 1 or 5 responsible. right? The question is, are we going to see those people held responsible? That's the real question. Because right now, I'll tell you this: I don't feel comfortable. We're going to see a head roll. I don't. I feel like we're getting a lot of smoke and mirrors. And when I'm not hearing the people in charge, the senators, right? These people are supposed to be the top brain, the top upper echelon of society. That's why we put them in that position. When I'm not hearing them ask the questions that this dumb redneck can come up with, I'm really like, what? Like,
That's what I was thinking, Harley. Every time you hear them asking questions, like the first day, they ask questions, they wouldn't answer. Then she steps down. They bring in the new guy, okay? He answers what questions were asked the day before. They were getting a viewpoint of what questions they could ask.
They got a preview.
Right.
Yeah,
well,
absolutely.
You know what's interesting, and I don't want to get off topic here, but to draw a parallel, when you look at the Afghanistan withdrawal, only one person got in trouble, and that was that Marine Lieutenant Colonel who came out on Facebook and made a Facebook post and said there is no accountability, blah, blah, blah. They kicked him out at 18, 17 years, whatever it was.
18 years.
For like 10 or 12 days. And he's the only one who ever had to answer for anything, and he wasn't even there.
Well, we've entered a time in society that, think back in go back to the summers of love and all this stuff. There is no accountability anymore. I mean, we had illegals that beat up cops in New York and they got let out. We had illegals that snuck on bases and got let out. There is zero account unless you come from another side and you have one viewpoint. You can bank that you're going to pay if you get caught, right? So I think what's most important to the American public is that if we do not see somebody held accountable in a bare absolute minimum of the next 9 or 10 days, then that should speak volumes to every person in the country, because we're about to experience a ride of our lives. And I'm going to tell you this right now, we are pairing up with Israel. We are getting ready to put the boots on the ground. That's why Biden put in the 18 to 26 draft men and women is here. If you saw the clip of Trump at Mar-a-Lago with Bibi, did you see his face? Bibi was like, "What are you talking about?" And Trump was like, "The Palestinians deserve the right to live. They deserve the right to exist. They shouldn't be obliterated." And Bibi's over there like, and then he immediately leaves and goes back. And then we're not setting up, and Biden will back, and we will send the warships, and we will start the boots on the ground. We've been in a proxy. It will turn to boots on the ground, because at that point, when we go into this war, this economy will tank, the jobs will be lost, times will become unbelievably tough to where you won't even be able to pay your internet bill. So this communication we're having right now will no longer exist for 90% of the population. And think about what can be done if we can't do what we've been doing for the last 3 years, and these kind of chats and these kind of talks and these kind of podcasts and these kind of things of making people aware. Think about when 90% of that, when we heard the blackouts coming, the 10 days of darkness and all this, and people kept chalking that up to some event. That wasn't what they were talking about. They're talking about taking away your ability to even afford to get on this internet and talk. And when you have no money left because the dollar's at 20 cents on the dollar, you're going to put some rice in your belly before you put your internet on. And then we will no longer have communication. And when we no longer have that, just imagine what the powers can do when nobody knows what the fuck is going on.
And that's why they got satellite phones. Remember when they handed out all the satellite phones? And everybody was like, well, what are they doing that for?
Yep.
It's getting bad, guys. It's getting bad. They're setting it up. It's
And I'm not saying this to you know,
not a fear
to
factor.
scare
No,
anybody.
it's just,
No,
yeah.
I'm saying this to get your mind right because it's here, it's happening, and if you choose to ignore it, then I don't know, I don't really know what to say. If you're ignoring what's happening, then that means you can't deal with it, and if you can't deal with it, then you know
And
it
that's
is
where
what
we're
it is.
at. There's a lot of people, Harley, that I talk to in the gravel. Like, okay, my family members. I'll talk about it, and they're like, we just don't want to have no part of it. We don't want to listen to it. We don't talk about it. But then when an event happens, okay, like Trump's attempted assassination, they're on the phone, each one calling me. Hey, what's going on? What's going on? But they don't want to hear the truth. They don't want to hear
The
scary.
yeah,
It's scary.
the best way that I can say to deal with that is, you know, talk to people that you care about and you love and say, this is your one chance. I'm telling you now, this is what's coming. So you can either help me, you can stand with me, we can get food, we can get water, we can work together. Or if you can't do that right now, then I can assure you when this shit hits the fan, you better not act like you know me because I won't know you, right? Be like, you know, not to mock religion or anything, but like many will call my name and I will know very few, right? So don't come knocking on my door because it ain't happening. I'm not helping you, right? I understand the reason is because they're scared to death. And that is understandable. Because if you say that you're not scared about what's coming down the pipeline right now, and you're just a Billy badass, you're a liar. Because anybody I've ever met, you know, in the service or in the outside world, or you know, in either way, if you don't have a sense of fear in you when shit hits the fan, then you're a danger to me, right? You better have a certain sense of fear because then that's going to keep your head on a swivel and that's going to keep you watching my six and then hopefully make you a better buddy than if you're just, oh, I don't give a shit. Ain't nothing going to happen. Right. You know, you're careless and you're not somebody I want to be in a hole with. So, but I'll also say this. We're at the point where you need to be concerned about yourself and your household, and that's it.
You know, and I agree with you, bro. I mean, it sounds selfish, but I think people have been trying to say, look, something's coming. I can't tell you exactly what's coming, but now that things have, I mean, just in what's happened in the last couple of months, you know.
Oh, just the last 2 weeks.
Or the last 2 weeks, just the last 2 days. This is that something, you know, and it's like, don't say I didn't warn you, you know.
What we're experiencing now, we've been watching on TV in third world countries for 20 years.
Correct. Yeah.
Right. It's happening now in America. The last land, the last front is happening live. I mean, I don't know what else to say besides that. Yeah.
And with Israel.
So anyway, I'm gonna bounce out. I didn't mean to crash y'all's party.
No, Harley, we were in this, and you gave us some great.
Hey, Harley, thank you for all the information. You provided a lot of info, and you know, like I said, I had all those questions, and the only thing I wanted to close, or I knew what you were talking about when you said the siloed nets, because you know, air guys, we talk to like the JTAC or the RTO, but they're typically next or near the ground force commander. Now, I don't get on the assault force net because I don't need to know that. And they don't need to know what I'm talking to, you know, but there's that connection. There's that go between, you know.
Your commanders are right next to each other talking over their shoulders, you know.
Correct. Yeah. So I don't need to now if they're going to say like breach, you know, because we're watching, right? The JTAC's going to come over and say breach, you know, something like that, you know?
Yeah.
So when we see that door blow open, okay, we know that they did that. That's not the enemy. You know what I mean? So they keep us that, and so I understood what you were getting at by the siloed net and the I mean, there's a lot of big questions I have, but the comm piece. When I keep hearing this thing about, well, we were texting, and we were like, what?
So let me get this right. Hey, there is a guy that is walking around with a rangefinder, and I think he is suspicious. Or there's a guy with a rangefinder, 12 o'clock on Building 6.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
What are we talking about? Like what?
When the director or the acting director, when he said, he's like, well, we need to get better at radio comm. I'm like, yeah, no shit. I'm sorry.
So that's why I said I'm afraid that there's this whole blanket blame of different areas, comm, setup, meetings, this person in charge, right? And then that's what we've seen over time. Is we get this convoluted answer of all these things involved that went wrong. And then at the end of the day, there's never a person held responsible. When you go into these social media companies stealing our data, when you just go into everything, the pill companies, the medical, blah, 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 blah. There's always this huge problem. There's always this huge fine, and there is never a person that gets brought up in front of the public and goes, whoop, here he is, or she is. This is the one that's responsible right here. We never get that. And the fact that we don't see that yet is very disheartening and very concerning to me, that we see all these dog and pony shows on Capitol Hill month after month, year after year, decade after decade, and we never get the responsible person brought to the forefront for us to go, oh, that's who was responsible.
Absolutely.
And that's what I want to end on, because I guarantee you this, if we don't see a person put in front of us in the next week, 10 days max.
Harley, are you on Rumble?
Yeah, Harley, please tell everyone about your podcast. What day, what nights?
I don't know. I'm getting a real choppy deal. Hold on one sec. Let me bounce.
Okay. It's a great podcast.
Like how would I get into your podcast? Or I don't have to be a guest just to listen.
Hang on a minute. Your earbuds ain't working. No sound. No sound.
He's muted.
I think now I'm good. Okay.
Okay.
So it's Harley Jackson 50, all one word, on Rumble and YouTube. I don't think I'll make it on YouTube very long because I don't know how to control my mouth.
Me either.
But I'll be on Harley Jackson 50. It's all one word, like right here, right there, right here.
Right down there.
So I just started a podcast. I've been on TikTok for several years. I've been through 70 plus accounts. It doesn't like me a whole lot. So I decided to start a podcast so I could start to really talk about, because even on TikTok, I try to think really hard about what I'm going to say and try to be really reserved, and still somehow I get kicked off all the time. But the reason I feel like I do what I do, I think Country does, Gravel, you do, anybody that does this talking right now, because we're all putting ourselves in harm's way by talking.
Yep.
It is to wake other people up, because I guarantee you there's going to be a moment in time, whatever side you're on, thinkers are going to have to come together, and it's just because, let me tell you, when this war starts, whether it's tonight, tomorrow, the next day in Israel, everything will tank. And when everything tanks, I want you to imagine your life right now and wake up tomorrow and you can only obtain 20% of it. What does that mean to you? If you wake up tomorrow and you can only obtain 20% of it, that means you can only afford 20% of your car note, 20% of your house note, 20% of your food bill, 20% of your cell phone bill, your Wi-Fi, all that shit, because money as we know it is going to tank. We're $36 trillion in debt. It does not take a mathematician and a Harvard scientist to figure out that we're screwed. If you go to the world debt clock and you look at everybody in the world, we're all screwed. It's all built on a house of cards with no foundation. It's coming down. The question is, what happens when it comes down? You find your true grit. What is your true grit? Whatever that is, right? And you're either going to run in the closet, you're going to hide, or you're going to dig deep, and they'll read about us in a history book at some point, right? If they're still there. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they don't remove that.
I got you followed on Rumble.
all right, man. Y'all have a good night.
All right, you got you
Not
too.
Harley. Thank you. Been a pleasure.
You bet.
Thanks, Harley.
Harley's awesome. Have you ever seen any of his videos on TikTok?
I don't think I have.
I bet you have. You just don't think of it.
Podcasts, you know.
He has he just started the podcast I think a few weeks ago. It's a Tuesday and Thursdays. He's starting out on Tuesday and Thursday nights. I meant to ask him what his time difference was. I can text him. He does 8 p.m. on Tuesday and Thursdays. But you could message him and ask him if you want to on TikTok, or I can find out. But yeah, and you can also go back. I went back and I watched. Let's see, was it his last podcast episode? Very good podcast episode. You guys got to go back and watch it. But yeah, he's right. It's like I was looking in the notifications. I get all kinds of stuff, and
I'm glad you brought him up. It was very educational for me.
I knew
I learned something new every time.
Well, I didn't look at it that way, and that there was two. I didn't look at it that way, and he's right. And I'll be the one to say it. Why isn't Trump making a big fuss about this? He makes a big fuss about all the other stuff. This was his life almost taken. You really going to sit back and allow the FBI, the 3-letter alphabet agencies, to supposedly do their job in Secret Service? Is it bipartisan?
Yeah,
that's a hard way to think. That's something for me hard to swallow and think like, truthfully.
Honestly, I think what they need to do, if they really want to call this a true bipartisan investigation or whatever, not the Congress hearings, but like this, whatever they're calling it, like a task force or whatever, there should not be any politician in there. You should have SEALs, you should have Rangers, you should have, First SFOD, Delta.
Mm-hmm.
You should have air guys in there, completely not part of Congress. Security specialists.
Right.
That's what you should actually have in there if you really want to get to the bottom of this, because and I know there's good politicians out there, but if you really want to make this true, because what really matters here is the American people, and we deserve answers. And that's what I was explaining to Harley and you, Country, was that every time these guys get up and talk, now I got 50 more questions.
Yeah.
I know your podcast is running over, so I'll shut up, but
no, you're fine. There's just so much that we don't know. Yeah, OG Pimp Daddy, good to see you. Grab us 30 possibility that those guys could ever be bought out.
If they're, most of those guys would, at least the guys I know,
mm-hmm.
would probably do it for free because they're very successful. They're not doing it for the money. They want to get to the bottom of it too. The guys I know.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does. It does. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I had a story I wanted to. We were talking about Kamala. We were talking about, how she's the nominee now and everything. Let's hear from some people and how they feel truly about this and how the Democrats should pay attention to what they say.
So I try not to get into politics, but something just happened that I find very, very interesting. So the Voting Rights Act of 1965, I think it was, don't quote me, go research it, is a bill that prevented Black people from voting. That has since been overturned, and Black people can now vote. So whenever there's a presidential nominee, and I personally could care less who you vote for, but I care about the truth. So whenever there's a presidential nominee, they always get enough delegates to win the nomination. But what just happened with Kamala Harris? The Democratic elites put Kamala Harris as the presidential nominee without any of us voting for. So they basically did the Voting Rights Act of 1965 right in front of your faces. And my Black people, you fell for it again. They literally took your voting rights away, and you're jumping up and down about it. Girl power, Black woman in office. Seriously? Seriously. You guys fall for it every time. Every time. God help us.
See, even people see it. They see it. They know what's going on.
Have I not been saying that? Have I not been saying that since, whether it was your podcast, your lives, or whatever? Have I not been saying this all along? The Democrats screwed over their own party.
Yep. And they're sitting back, Hail Mary. Hey, yeah, this is.
But I am happy that people are coming out, and I'm not trying to say I'm right, because it's not about being right.
But the Democrats need to understand. Maybe this is an awakening for them till they understand, and they can say, "Hey, we got a constitution," you know.
Right.
And this. Yeah, there is democracy, but they're going to take away our democracy there. One main thing that we always say is the democracy, what democracy is for our elections. And that's pretty much it. And that's what Democrats lean on continuously is democracy. That's what you always hear. Democracy's at stake. If you look at it, Democrats, this way. You guys always said, oh, Trump's in the way of completely demolishing our democracy. Okay, well, we'll go with what you just said. Who just took and completely destroyed your democracy? Your own party.
Yeah, and it's not even a party thing or a Trump Biden thing. I'm just like, do you guys not just realize what happened right in front of you? I wish I was wrong about this.
I do too, but we already see it happening. And okay, on The View, this guy was explaining, you probably know who he is. He actually was sitting and explaining. Well, first let's listen to what this gentleman had to say, and then I'll move to The View because he was on point. And this, it amazed me. Well, it never amazes you what The View says. They are freaking, I don't call people names, but they are so ignorant.
Black journalists, so many missed opportunities when it comes to Black people doing the ask from politicians. And we sit back and wonder why we don't got nothing because we don't ask. So how does the National Association of Black Journalists invite Kamala Harris and invite Trump to a pretty much town hall roundtable type discussion? Kamala does not show, doesn't even reply yes. Trump replies yes, he shows up. And instead of the committee taking the time to ask questions to Trump about what his policies are for Black America, what he plans on doing this time around for Black America, and giving him the opportunity to speak his piece, they attacked him. This is exactly what I'm talking about. How was that beneficial? Instead of sitting back saying, hey, last time in 2020, you had something called the Platinum Plan. What is your goal this time? Nope. It started late and then spent 30 minutes trying to get him roused up for clickbait instead of allowing it to be a situation where he can come in and explain his policies and what he thinks he's going to do for the Black community to earn the Black vote. another failed, missed opportunity. But yet, you sit around praising these people for what? Doing us an injustice.
See, people are waking up and seeing this. They had an opportunity to talk about policy. They had an opportunity to talk about things, but what they wanted to do was take digs and dives at Trump. And I think Trump handled himself very well. I think he went straight to the point. I mean, it's a different Trump we're seeing. We're actually seeing, I'm not saying this in a bad way, but we are actually seeing politician being a politician. First time around, he was new, rough around the edges, learning things. Now we see a future president, a past president, not wanting to play with the bullshit. I'm just going to tell you flat out the way things are. I'm going to tell you flat out the way things happen. I'm going to tell you flat out the way the things that she is and what the things she was talking about. And that's it. They tried to bait him. They tried to destroy him, but they couldn't. They took the moment that they could have. They didn't want to make him. That lets you know right there what side they're on.
Do you watch country? Do you watch Fox News?
I watch Fox. I don't watch Fox News. I take excerpts of clips if I feel they're viable, because I'll go and do research even on Fox News to make sure they are appropriate and factual, because I don't trust not a damn one of the media outlets, not a damn one of them, not even the ones that say, oh, we're for this, and they make it look as though that they are Republican. You have to be very careful as to what people say, and because Fox News the other day put a poll up saying that Kamala was ahead of Trump.
You know,
well, we know that's a fucking lie.
The reason I asked you that, I used to watch Fox News. I don't anymore. Ever since they fired.
I don't watch any news. Really, I don't. I watch the people I trust on these platforms and on Rumble, and I do the damn research myself.
Yeah. So when you look at that panel, so as you're watching the TV and you look at that panel, you got Trump on the left. You got that lady from ABC News who completely came out and attacked Trump. The lady in the middle, she asked some questions. She was a little more hospitable. But then on the right, you had Harris Faulkner. She is a Fox News, like she is huge on Fox News. Now she didn't go after Trump, but I was disappointed in her because because she has actually personally interviewed Trump. And I think she could have run some intervention there and said, hey, look, let's stick to the questions here. You know,
well, I wonder if they talked beforehand, because a lot of stars and stuff, they get on there and they actually communicate and say, okay, well, this is a list of things, but I don't think they do. I think they do it wide open, and I think they would lie even if they did it with Trump. I think they would say, okay, this is what we're going to talk about, and I think they would flip the script because that's what they're good at doing. She did have an opportunity. You're correct. Great point. To run interference, to say, hey, hold up here. This is actually what really happened. Maybe she was sitting back and allowing Trump to say, hey, this. I don't know. Was she sitting back just allowing it to happen? Was she supposed to do that? Good question.
Yeah, it's only, I don't think we'll ever have an answer, but that was my question. I'm like, you're Harris Faulkner. I mean, she does the, she has her own show. It's like it's like noon Eastern or 9 a.m. Pacific, my time,
right?
Like that, the Faulkner Hour or whatever. Yeah. And I was surprised. She didn't go at him, but she could have given, in my view, like a right Republican viewpoint. And her questions were kind of tailored that way, but
it's like it was a setup. It was set up to make it look as though they were still on the right, but they didn't want to rock the boat to the left. You know what I'm saying?
Correct. Yeah.
They wanted to keep it neutral.
That was my vantage point.
Keep it neutral. Well, watch this. You may have already seen it. I don't know. I could be playing something you've already seen on this.
Three phone calls were made from Schumer and Pelosi. Biden said, I'm in this thing. I'm not leaving. A couple phone calls are made, and all of a sudden he's pushed out. And in 48 hours, all the delegates aren't given a choice of other candidates. They're told, you're going to get behind Kamala.
That's actually not what happened.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Where's the other choice?
That's not actually. The other choices decided she was the best choice. That's
But who
what they
decided?
Who's
That's
they?
what
delegates People did. who were running. The delegates did.
The delegates did.
Yeah. Governor Newsom.
But the delegates voted you guys.
The delegates decided. But also,
No.
I'm saying Newsom said, I'm not going to challenge this.
Yeah.
People decided who would have gone in to challenge, said, no, we're not going to challenge her. We actually think. So that's.
But a lot of people
I can
voted
tell
for
you.
the ticket.
Yeah.
Well, let me just.
Go ahead,
There was
Becky.
another scenario that could have happened here where President Biden could have said, in order to give you a nudge and really make it a decision we're making, I could step down as president and you could step up right now. And she'd be going into an election.
But he didn't want that.
Right, but I'm saying that is actually something that's a little more
Let me
disenfranchised.
flip it if I could. What if I said, you know what, Trump, you're losing in the polls now, and we have another candidate, and the head of the Republican National Committee, and myself, and a bunch of others say, you're out. We're just going to instill Nikki Haley now because the polls
I
aren't
wish
good.
we had a party
Right?
that could operate that way.
But that would be awful. But everyone has to accept that would be awful
they can't
for
do that.
America.
The convention happened already.
Yeah, right. But that would be awful because the voters have to decide.
Why would it be awful?
Because voters have to decide, not elites.
It would be two women against each
Stop calling them
other.
elites. That's you're
No,
that's
insiders,
divisive.
let's say.
Okay.
Yeah. Right there, you're seeing a dictatorship formed. Right there, you're seeing where the American people have been so brainwashed. Those are rich people, okay? Those are people that have money, the view. Those are people that are selfish bitches. Those are people that have not got a clue what America is about at all. Those are people that would piss on you and not feed you if the world went to shit because they got what they wanted. Period. They want the dictatorship because they have nothing to lose because they're part of it. Haven't you ever seen movies that have to do with what happened in Germany way back in black and white films? Haven't you ever watched? Go back and watch some of these movies with Hitler and shit in it. Right now, before the Holocaust, before all of that happened, you are going to see in real time. You're going to see on that movie in real time. That is what is forming in our country today.
You know what's so funny? Well, I always got to throw a little bit of comedy in there, but I did want to just break away from that real quick. Have you? This goes to JD Vance. His book, Hillbilly Elegy.
Yes, it's.
And it's on. The movie is on Netflix. I watched it the other day. It's actually really good. It talks. It doesn't really. It's not very political. It talks about like his life growing up until he was kind of at the. Basically when he was in Yale Law School, and it doesn't talk about anything really beyond that about him becoming a senator or anything like that, but. He had a very rough childhood, and I have not read the book. I only watched the movie, but it was based on the book. It was really good. Now, the other thing I was going to say about The View, I have two beautiful sons. I'm divorced from their mom. I don't date anymore. But those women on The View, if I did date, I could never date a Democrat woman. Ever.
I could not either. I couldn't date a Democrat man. I just couldn't. No. You know what I date now? Truthfully, you know what I date now? The internet. When I'm on here, that's my dates. Every night, podcast. You know what I'm saying? That's my dates. Podcast. Doing my lives, got my family in there. It's kind of like going to a bar, but there's no drinking. You know what I'm saying? You see the same people. I bet if there was a bar right now in my town, I bet we could go to it. And I bet the exact same people that I seen 20 years ago would still be standing there 20 years later.
Hey, Friday Night Late Talk, right?
Yep, that's right. That's what it is. That's what we got to do. Here's a story that grabbed my heart, and I had a few questions about it. A Texas woman who abandoned a newborn baby in a dumpster is an illegal alien. This girl is supposedly to be, look at her picture. First off, they put a picture of someone who's innocent looking. She looks like she's 12 years old. She looks too young. How do we know that these people are actually that age? They haven't done any testing yet. But she had the baby. She put it in a trash bag. She tied the baby up. She put the baby in a dumpster. She went back to work. A passerby happened to hear the baby. I'm going to show you a video. And he called 911. She said she didn't want to lose her boyfriend. She didn't want her boyfriend to leave her and break up with her. Here's the video.
Como varoncito se ve, ¿verdad?
Beautiful baby, black hair, gorgeous baby. Now, this has happened. That lady needs to be locked away forever. I'm just curious to know, is she actually old enough? Because she was a minor. They said when she got here, she's 18 now. They understand that's what they were told. You can't trust the documentation.
That girl. So
look at her. She's too. She looks way too young, guys.
She cannot. She's got to be. Looking at that picture, she's got to be.
What do you guys think?
I don't think she can be older than about 14.
I know she is not no 18-year-old. So that being said, she's a child and she's an illegal, and it's probably not her boyfriend. Truthfully, I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't handle her. She got pregnant. And did you see the dumpster? That was God's intervention for that person to hear, because that dumpster was overflowing. That lets me know they were probably going to come and pick up the trash pretty soon.
Yeah.
Because it was overflowing. Now, in Texas, they have a safe haven law where you have a child, you can drop it off, and there'll be no charges. She is being held, and I think she's on like a $200,000 bond. But did you know that there are multiple babies that have been found and abandoned in the last month in Houston? It's heartbreaking. In dumpsters and in trash cans. 5. All from illegals.
Well, what happens, and this actually, being in a no kidding border state, Arizona, this happens. What these caravans come up or whatever, the 50 or 100, they're getting, by the cartels.
Mm-hmm.
They get them over the border, and, doesn't happen quite as much at least not up here in the north. In the south,
right,
like Phoenix and Tucson, I have no idea. But what happens is they get graped by the cartels. Then they send them over, and then they have the baby here, But I don't. I mean, maybe she's very young looking for her age, but that girl does not look to me like she's a day older than 14.
That's what I'm saying. I hope they do more DNA or whatever tests they can do to find out exactly how old she is, because she looks like a child. And I know a lot of Mexican young women can look younger. They're just the way the markup is. But I don't trust the media either. They wouldn't want to say, here's a 14-year-old that come across the border who just had a baby and put the baby in a dumpster, a minor. That would go against the Biden's narrative. That would go against Kamala Harris's border Azar. You know what I'm saying? It would look bad on them.
Well,
so they're going to lie.
Yeah, from a criminal perspective, because if we don't know who they are, and there's no way to vet them,
Right.
you can't really. There's no test per se.
Right.
I mean, I guess they could do a DNA test and try and match it in some sort of a law enforcement profile or whatever, but it's not like they can just like take a DNA test and say, okay, you're only 14. So I would imagine that law enforcement's only position would be like, look, you either tell us the truth or we're going to charge you as an adult, because you claim to be 18. I'm not sure if that's the claim or not, but you claim to be 18. So therefore, unless you tell us the truth, we're going to charge you as an adult, because you can't do that. You might be able to do that in your country, but you can't do that here.
Yep. And then that might be the situation. I just don't think she was 18 when I looked at her.
I don't even.
My coworkers.
I mean, I'll even give a little bit of slide and say maybe 16. But to me,
but she's no 18. She's
Yeah.
no 18. Ain't no way. Thank God that the baby survived. The baby is thriving and doing well. Let's pray that this doesn't happen to where she comes back in like the last one that we saw that did something. She had her baby and shoved it in the trash can in the bathroom at the hospital. The dad, was informed, and then it's like, oh, well, we want custody of the baby.
Well, and can I say something about that? I mean, because in the 2.5 years that I've been in Arizona, there is, me. I'm this whole legal immigration thing. I'm completely against it. I don't stand for it. But there is a human rights issue, and that's what's being lost on the Democrats, is that there's a lot of people being severely abused as they're going through this migration process, whether it's the cartels, whether they're coming up through what they call the Darien Gap, which is this gap between South America and North America, essentially, and they're being abused. I mean, I hate.
Oh, absolutely. It's horrible. It's horrible to think about, but we've got to think about it because it's what's going on in our country. It's
Right.
always been going on in America. It's just now, guys, it's going to be at your front door. It is at our front door now. And what we do with it, what do we do with it? But here's a neat video. John Lennon, or Lemon, he questioned and said that Kamala Harris was not African American. This is an older video.
Go down into her lineage. Let's go down to a black woman.
Okay, that's
Her
fine. I
father
agree with
is a
that.
black
I
man from
agree with
Jamaica.
that. But
Now,
is
I don't
she
wanna get into the
African
pigment. I
American?
don't
No,
wanna
no,
get
no,
into
no,
the
no,
pigment
no.
issue.
But is she African American? There's a difference. There's nothing wrong with that. No one is trying
So
to
let's
take
go down.
anything
Let's go
away
down. Let's
from
go down
her.
into her lineage.
I
Let's
think
go
you're
down.
falling. I think
If
you're
you wanna
falling
go
into
into
a
her
trap of
lineage-
that. All she had to do was
No.
say, "I am black,
No, I'm
but
not
I'm
falling-
not African American." That's it.
Let me
End of
say
story.
this. I'm not falling in a trap. I'm not falling in. Let me finish. Hold on. I'm not falling into a trap by that. When she goes down her lineage, many Africans landed in Jamaica and all these other Caribbean islands. So she could indeed
Jamaica's
be
not America.
African American mixed with others. But she is
Jamaica's not America.
But she is a black woman. She was
Jamaica
born
did not
here
come
in
out of
America.
Jim
Okay, well
Crow.
let's
I'm
go
just
into Ted
saying.
Cruz. Ted Cruz
I'm
was
not
born
talking
in
about
Canada.
Ted
His
Cruz.
father
This is
was
not about
Cuban.
Ted Cruz. You're
I
changing
know,
the subject.
but you know what? We cannot. It was hypocrisy. I'm not changing the subject.
Yes, you are changing
She's
the
a
subject.
black
This
woman.
has
I don't know
nothing to do
what
with
you
Ted
want.
Cruz.
Okay, black.
He even did.
Wow, John Lemon.
Yeah.
I can't believe he did that.
That was yeah. He sure did. I've been pulling some of the older videos. Now, with the Olympics. This happened earlier. Just in, the International Boxing Association will award Angelina Coroni with even though she abandoned the fight against Adiria Zaman-Kia. I probably just butchered that. The IBA prize money as if she were the Olympic champion, President America said. So she's going to get the money as if she won the fight. Now, with our Olympics, the strong words and language in this video. This is what someone's opinion is, and they are allowed to their opinion.
These faggots should get their own faggot category, because before, if a man hit a woman, it used to land him in jail. Now, it gets you a gold medal at the Olympics. These are the worst Olympics in history. They have made a mockery out of Christianity and women. And let me remind you, there's no such thing as a chick with a dick. Keep women's sports female.
Have to come and get me off your ass. That's how I'm going out. For the punk motherfuckers.
Oh, is that breaking news, Jennifer? She has a right to her opinion, but I do agree with her on some points. There's no place for men in women's sports, especially boxing. That is just an excuse for your puss ass to where you can't handle it and hack it with a real man, because you know he'd walk the floor with your ass. So you want to get in the ring with a woman and you want to whoop her ass and you want to beat her. That's the same as assault. That is the same as abuse. That is domestic violence just made legal. That is all that is. And it should never, ever be allowed.
I don't have the story in front of me right now, but I did catch a glimpse of it. There was actually another fight today, boxing match. Mm-hmm. Very similar situation. Failed testosterone test, and I can't remember which country was against which country, but that's the second one. And I was watching. I saw it on Rob Schmidt on Newsmax. And he basically said, so what is this book going to boil down to? The person from who beat the Italian girl yesterday from I keep forgetting, starts with an A. It's an African country. That girl's or guy or whatever is going to compete against this girl or guy, and that's what's going to boil down to the gold medal. And I'm just like, oh my God. Remember when I was telling you the other day, like after that whole Passover thing, I was going to record everything for my sons. I stopped even doing that. And I talked to them about it. I said, you guys just aren't watching the Olympics. I'm sorry, not this time around. Maybe the Winter Olympics. That'll be in 2 years. And they're like, yeah, Dad, this is getting really weird.
This guy had something to say about the Olympics.
I'm so done with the internet today. Look, I don't know how true this is, so let me start this video off saying this is just my opinion. I just found this on a local station out of Paris about 20 minutes ago. Okay, woo! Apparently, they are claiming the artist behind the Paris Olympics opening ceremony has just been hospitalized after a freak lightning strike. So once you come back on this one left, apparently y'all are saying that, oh no, it wasn't mocking anything to do with this man. This man knows what y'all were doing. Y'all were trying to bring unity. And a few hours later, supposedly the dude who did this has just been hit by a freak lightning strike.
Country, if I send you a TikTok video, how long does it take you to put up?
Not very long. Put it in Telegram. You need to get Telegram because I can pop them up very quickly through Telegram. It's easier to do it that way.
Telegram. Hang on, give me a second. It's exactly. I think I can't remember if I shared it out or not, but hang on. Let me see if I can find it.
But I don't know if that's true or not. Have you heard anything about that? If he got hit by lightning?
Well, I know the power went out.
I do know the power went out. Yes, but I wasn't sure if he got hit by lightning. But I do know.
All right, I just texted it to you. I got to get Telegram. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's so much easier to pop up. It's a very simple thing. You just download it, and it's country_crazy_chat. Just type that in, and you can join the Telegram page. It's growing. It's a place where you can actually put your post that you want to get out because it gets shared all over the place. Great news is over there, positive, some negative, but trustworthy articles. But everyone finds information, and now we have a place that you can put it in, and it will not get censored at all. Not one, because it's my page. It's my Telegram page.
You
It's
know,
your own individual page.
I like that. And I was out working on my property today, and I was listening to some lives. I didn't join any of the. I joined a Republican live. This was earlier. This was in the morning. But I was kind of scrolling through some lives, and RTP Talks. He said something that, and I'm just anybody who's listening, the RTP Talks, the Deans, the Harry Sissons, whatnot. RTP Talks, and I can't stand that dude. He's in Arizona like me. He lives in the South, of course. But he said something. He was talking to that other dude that looks like Ethan Hawke. That's neither here nor there. But they had a guest up. And he said, he goes, she's won 30 out of 34 debates with you. So then I got to thinking, I'm like, I didn't ask him, but I was like, what in the hell are you talking about? Are you keeping track of how many people and who are joining these lives? Because that's getting kind of weird, like they got this thing on Discord or something like that.
Yeah, I've never really used that. I've heard that it's something to use. I don't know. I've never been on it. There's a lot of different things that they do on there. You can post. It's kind of like Discord, but it's more controlled where I don't know. I can't really talk about Discord. I haven't really used it.
Neither have I. And he didn't claim it was Discord, but I'm like, wait a minute. When he said that, I was like, are you keeping track of conservatives or Republicans or dissenting opinions, I should say, that are how many times they come up into one, either your live or another friend's live? I literally think they have like a whole, whether it's Priscilla Gonzalez, like I said, all these kind of big lib creators who are all being paid.
And they are.
I think they're keeping track of people.
Right.
So I caution anyone. It's pointless. At this point, it's pointless to debate them. Nobody's going to win. Nobody's going to change anybody's mind or anything like that. And I mentioned this to you a few.
It's funny you said debates because Jen just put this in the chat. Donald Trump says that I agreed with Fox News to debate Kamala Harris on Wednesday, September 4th. The debate was previously scheduled against Sleepy Joe Biden on ABC, but has been terminated, and the Biden will no longer be a participant. And I am in litigation against ABC Network and George Stephanopoulos, I can't say his name, thereby creating a conflict of interest. The Fox News debate will be held in the great Commonwealth of Pennsylvania at a site in the arena to be determined. The moderators of the debate will be Brett Baier and Martha McCollum, and the rules will be similar to the rules of the debate with Sleepy Joe, who was and has been treated horribly by his party, but with a full arena. As everyone knows, the Democrats have unconstitutionally taken a candidate who was acknowledged to be defeated and unceremoniously replaced him with a new candidate. This has never been done before. and is a threat to democracy. But I'm totally prepared to accept the results of this coup and replace Joe on the debate stage with crazy Kamala Harris. I spent hundreds of millions of dollars, time, and effort fighting Joe, and when I won the debate, they threw a new candidate into the ring. Not fair. But it is, nevertheless, different candidate or not. Their bad policies are the same, and this will be strongly revealed at the September 4th debate. I look forward to the meeting and debating Kamala Harris on September 4th. This debate is convenient and appropriate in that it is just prior to September 6th, start of early voting in the 2024 presidential election. I look forward to seeing everyone on September 4th in the great Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
Sweet.
Thank you, Jen. I appreciate that. So, everyone, we have a debate that was coming. Now, I do know that they had pushed sentencing for Hunter Biden after the election.
It's
The 13th.
so Trump's all right. So to review, Trump's sentencing in the New York trial, the Bragg trial, the Stormy Daniels thing, that is September 18th. So we're still roughly 6 weeks out from that.
Mhm.
I don't think it's going to happen personally. I think there's
You know, the courts threw everything back down to Chuckton, in that case. So now it goes to Chuckton and over what the Supreme Court of Immunity.
yeah, and that's the J6 case. So
Right.
Trump's sentencing, the one he was found guilty of, but he is not yet a convicted felon.
Right.
He's never been sentenced.
That's
September 18th.
I don't know if I can read this or not. Hang on. On writ of ceremonia to the United States Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit, this cause came on this to be heard in the transcript of the record from the above court and was agreed by counsel. On consideration whereof, it is ordered and adjudicated by this court that the judgment of the above court is vacated with cost, and that the case is remanded to the United States Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit for further proceedings consistent with the opinion of the court. It is further ordered that the petitioner, Donald J. Trump, recover from the United States $3,232.80 for the cost herein expended.
It's all falling apart. I'm telling you, this is all falling apart. So then back to what you were saying about Hunter, they pushed his sentencing on the gun charge, or it was scheduled. I don't know if they pushed it. I don't think there was ever actually a date. It's in November. That's all I said. It's in November.
No, there was a date on it. I think it was the 13th. It was November 13th or 18th. I remember that.
Yeah. So Biden will still be the president. And even though he said he's not going to pardon him, I think that's highly unlikely.
I think maybe he won't pardon him, but somebody else might. You never know.
Yeah. And then Hunter's got his tax fraud case in California. That's in September. So
Let me get this
Hunter's
video
going to get pardoned. We already know that's coming. I wouldn't believe anything you hear. I don't care what Joe says. I don't think Joe remembers what he said yesterday.
Oh, I agree.
So yeah.
All right, I'm gonna play.
Well, that's mine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why would they do that? I'd hate to say I told you so, but dude, don't.
Hang on.
Don't. You see what they're doing? What the fuck? It's not good, sir. Why would they do that? I'd hate to say I told you so, but well, dude, don't. Gear up a revenge tornado right outside that town. Revenge tornado? Revenge tornado. Big boy. Big Cat 5 or whatever they're calling it those days. Fuck their shit up. That's fucked. God. What the hell?
Yeah, I see a good place in the Midwest for these tornadoes.
Big a whole alley of them.
Yep, I'm gonna write that down. Boom. Fuck you guys.
That was like it was a parody, but that was like Jesus from heaven looking down.
Coming down doing it. Well, Grandpa, I think that's the end of our show. It is midnight now. I want to
Okay,
say
gotcha.
thank you for coming on. It's been a great show. I appreciate it. Be back here tomorrow night, 10 p.m. Eastern, and wonder what tomorrow will hold. It's the weekend.
It's the weekend.
Pretty
Hopefully World War III doesn't break out.
God help us. That's what you got to be watching for, because there's some crazy things taking place.
Yeah. Thanks, Country. Great show. Thanks, panel.
Oh, thank you. You have a blessed night, Gravel. And everyone, thank you for hanging out with us. We really appreciate everyone on YouTube, everyone on X. Come back tomorrow night. Hey, OG Pimp Daddy, you hung in there, didn't you? Hey, Miss Jen, good to see you.
Are you going live?
Hey, Grandma. Okay. I don't know. I might.
Okay.
Possibly.
I'll keep an eye out. I'll let you get going.
Okay.
Have a good night.
Okay.
You guys all take
Good
care.
night.
Yep.
And as always, everyone have a safe Saturday. We'll see you then. And already did the hat. With that, everyone, Country Crazy out.